Chapter 67. Contend for. After Lu Muyen squeezed through, she saw a sloppy middle-aged man with a stall in front of him. On the stall was a pile of crystals that were suitable for refining magic tools. Among them was a palm-sized dark gray stone that caught her attention. "Buy that dark gray rock. You must buy it." Mo Yan's eager voice resounded in her sea of consciousness. Lu Muyen gently poked the little beast on his back with her finger, indicating that she knew. After listening carefully to the conversations around her, Lu Muyen obtained some useful information from their words. This middle-aged man wanted to trade the crystal on the table, but he required the dark gray stone to be the main item of trade. More importantly, he only wanted a demonic beast skin of tier 5 or higher. Those that didn't know the value of the gray stone all thought the man was just indulging in a wild fantasy. The crystal's qualities were all quite good, so it attracted a lot of people's attention, but it was a pity that the man simply wouldn't yield. So after so long, the things on the stall still hadn't been traded out. Lu Muyen held back the look in her eyes, reached out and picked up the dark gray stone in her hand to play with, then asked casually, "What kind of crystal is this?" She had observed from the look of the man that even he didn't know the origin of this stone. That's why she asked this question. The middle-aged man raised his head and glanced at Lu Muyen impatiently. "Don't know. You don't know and you still want to trade this for such a high-level demonic beast skin?" Xiao Ziong, who had followed Lu Muyen in squeezing through, couldn't help but cut in. The look on the man's face was even more impatient, and he said with a very bad tone, "I've said it many times. I can feel that this stone's extraordinary, so I want to trade it. You can believe it or not. If you want to trade, then stay. If you don't, then put the stone back and get lost." If it weren't that a spiritual treasure he was refining required a high-level demonic beast skin, he wouldn't take out these materials that were used for smithing to trade, especially the dark gray stone. It always gave him a mysterious and unpredictable feel. These ignorant people asking these questions really made him annoyed. "What's with your attitude?" Xiao Ziong wanted to say more, but Lu Muyen turned her head to stop him with her gaze. "I want your pile of crystals." Lu Muyen played with the dark gray stone in one hand, and with the other, she pointed to the pile of crystals of varying colors on the table. Xiao Ziong glared at Lu Muyen speechlessly. This woman was truly a prodigal lady. Hearing Lu Muyen's words, the middle-aged man thought she just wanted to buy the crystals on the table like the people before. So he said with a poor attitude, "I don't sell individual crystals. If you want it, you need to trade me a tier 5 demonic beast skin. I only sell the stone you're holding." Lu Muyen wasn't angry at the man's attitude. Having to consistently repeat things he had been saying was frustrating for sure. She chuckled and nodded casually. "I only want the crystals on your table, but since you want to sell it like that, that's fine. I'll trade." Hearing Lu Muyen's words, the man raised his head and looked at her squarely, with a hint of brilliance in his eyes. It wasn't the brilliance of seeing a beauty, but it was the excitement of obtaining a demonic beast skin he wanted. "Then give me a tier 5 demonic beast skin, preferably fire attribute," the man said with a rare, pleasant tone. The corner of Lu Muyen's eyes twitched. This man sure had many demands. However, a smith having a strange temperament was normal. After all, having to deal with fire day in day out, fire poison would accumulate in their body, which naturally meant it would affect their temperament. Therefore, many smiths were very irritable. "Eldest brother, contribute a tier 5 demonic beast for use." Lu Muyen knew that Lu Mubai had the corpse of a tier 5 demonic beast, so she asked with a big smile. Lu Mubai didn't know why his younger sister wanted this pile of crystals. He felt that she cared more about the gray stone in her hand, but he was unconditional in pampering his younger sister. So he took out a tier 5 water crocodile's corpse and said, "I don't have a fire attribute demonic beast corpse, only a water attribute corpse." The middle-aged man looked at the corpse of the water crocodile on the floor with furrowed brows. His eyes revealed a bit of conflicting emotions. If the spirit treasure he refined could obtain a fire attribute demonic beast skin, then it could be even better, but materials were scarce right now, so he could only make do. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Just when the middle-aged man wanted to agree, A female's voice rang from the crowd. This young miss wants that pile of crystals and that dark gray stone. Then, everyone saw a tender and beautiful woman in a red dress with an arrogant and domineering attitude walk towards them, after leading a few people to drive the onlookers away. You have a Tier 5 fire attribute demonic beast skin? The middle-aged man retracted his gaze on the water crocodile and looked up at the woman who opened her mouth. If he could have a fire attribute demonic beast's armor, then he would naturally choose something more beneficial to him. Of course. The woman raised her chin proudly. Hey, aren't you too unfair? Obviously this was something we ordered first, and we already gave you the demonic beast's corpse, but you actually want to back out. Xiao Ziong had long felt that the middle-aged man was unpleasant, and now he was angered. This man with no ethics was just too classless. The middle-aged man glanced at Xiao Ziong and said, "Didn't we just fail the transaction? I need fire attribute materials. Now that there is, why should I choose the water attribute demonic beast skin that I could just barely use? Of course I Huaxiao am not a villain. I'll compensate you with some crystals for free in a bit." He indeed went back on his word, so it was nothing to compensate some crystals to these little children. When Lu Muyen heard Huaxiao's words, a look of surprise flashed across her eyes. Then she had a plan in her heart. Take out the skin of your fire attribute Tier 5 demonic beast for a look. Huaxiao turned his head to the red-clothed woman and said with an attitude that didn't appear too enthusiastic. With a thought, a fire attribute crimson fox appeared on the ground. Huaxiao crouched down and took a look. The crimson fox was a bit small, but given that the demonic skin was of the fire attribute, it was more suitable for him than the water crocodile. Can you still take out a fire attribute demonic beast skin? If you can't, then I'll trade with her. Huaxiao was actually not that satisfied with the crimson fox, as he wanted a scaled demonic beast. So he looked at Lu Muyen and asked, though rather hopelessly. Pfft! The red-clothed woman sneered, with disdain in her eyes. If she could take it out, she would have taken it out a long time ago. Isn't it unnecessary to ask? The woman in red looked askance at Lu Muyen, and when she moved her gaze to the white demonic beast she was holding, an understanding flashed across her eyes. She also decided to buy the pile of crystals and that inconspicuous dark gray rock, because the fire cloud mink in her spirit pet bangle called attention to it. Although she didn't know what sort of rock it was, but she knew that sometimes the more inconspicuous something was, the more of a treasure it was. You hurry up and bring that gray rock over. Exaning Xian, the woman in red, pointed her finger at Lu Muyen with slight contempt on her face. Lu Muyen's eyes turned cold. She hated other people pointing their fingers at her the most. She noted this arrogant and cocky woman down, who said, "I don't want it anymore." Lu Muyen shook the rock in between her two fingers in front of the crowd, and said lazily, "Today, I'm definitely taking this. Your tone sure isn't soft. If you take out an even higher level fire attribute demonic beast corpse, then why shouldn't this young miss let you?" Exaning Xian's eyes were full of disdain. Note, yes, a higher level fire attribute demonic beast. I wonder what she can take out. Ha ha ha. Note, what a caring elder brother Lu Mubai is. Love the sibling relationships in this novel tbh. Too many backstabbing siblings in other novels. Also loving the familial relationships too. We need more healthier sibling relationships in C novels. Edit. Oops, accidentally published this one early. Just to clarify, there won't be a second chapter today. I just accidentally scheduled the time wrong, haha. I still need to write up my students' reports XD. Enjoy. Chapter 68. Am I a foolish spender? Even she only owned this one Tier 5 demonic beast corpse, so she didn't believe at all that this woman in front of her could take out the corpse of a Tier 6 demonic beast. Let me? Do I need you to let me? Lu Muyen raised her eyebrow and sneered. You really have the skin of a fire attribute demonic beast? You better not be teasing me. Huaxiao's eyes lit up, but his voice carried a sense of warning. His good attitude today was almost worn out, so he hoped that this woman wasn't playing him. Exaning Xian snorted coldly. Then take it out. You can't trade by just talking about it. She hated women who were more beautiful than herself. So looking at the woman in front of her, who was a beauty that could cause the collapse of a country, that appeared indolent, and had a clever temperament. She hated her even more in her heart. The surrounding crowd didn't believe that Lu Muyen could take out an even higher-level fire attribute demonic beast. After all, a Tier 5 demonic beast that represented a sword spirit stage sword master was already difficult to kill, let alone a Tier 6 demonic beast equivalent to the strength of a sword monarch. For this woman who appeared to not have a strong cultivation base, she was probably only taking nonsense and causing dispute for her personal feelings. So some people yelled in agreement, "That's right, take it out and let's see. Do you think that high-level demonic beasts are like cabbages the tray all over the street? Let's not talk about a higher-level demonic beast. I'm afraid that she couldn't even take out another Tier 5 fire attribute demonic beast's corpse. That's right, she even asked her elder brother for the water crocodile just now." For a moment, the surroundings became livelier. Xianing Xian hugged her arms, displaying a high, arrogant posture, certain that Lu Muyen couldn't take out the skin of a fire attribute demonic beast. Lu Mu furrowed his brows and looked at Xianing Xian. He had already guessed her identity in his heart, but he didn't object to his younger sister going against her. As for Yun Lan and the others, they only had curiosity in their hearts. Lu Muyen had given them too many surprises, and this time, they also inexplicably believed that she wasn't just talking irresponsibly. But how did she obtain a demonic beast corpse with the strength equivalent to that of a sword monarch? The Lu clan didn't have any sword monarch experts at all. Lu Muyen didn't care about the discussions occurring about her. She originally had some uses for the Tier 6 flame unicorn beast's corpse, but she could only give it up for the rock that Mo Yin wanted. However, taking advantage of her wasn't that easy. With a thought, she moved the corpse of the flame unicorn beast that Ming Xiao had killed onto the ground, but she had already taken away its blood essence and its horn a long time ago. A pressuring fire attribute demonic beast's aura spread throughout the air. The flame unicorn beast died not long ago, so the heavy pressure of a high-level demonic beast had yet to dissipate, though it had been weakened. However, it still caused the people around them to pale with fright. What? It's actually a flame unicorn beast of peak phase Tier 6 strength. Those who came to explore the glacial mountain range wouldn't be that weak, so someone in the crowd recognized the corpse of the demonic beast on the ground. A flame unicorn of peak phase Tier 6 strength? No way. That's equivalent to the strength of a sword sovereign expert. My eyes aren't blurry, are they? To be able to see a Tier 6 flame unicorn beast in my living years, it truly was worthwhile to come. Meanwhile, Hua Xiao's eyes stared, transfixed, on the corpse of the demonic beast, his body slightly trembling. The burning desire and excitement in his eyes formed a great contrast to his coldness earlier. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. He eagerly walked to the flame unicorn beast's corpse and squatted down. He stroked it a few times with his shaking hands, as if cherishing a prized work of art. This was the best material for refining magic tools he had come across in his entire life. Xianing Xian also revealed a look of disbelief. She naturally knew what sort of existence the Tier 6 flame unicorn beast was. She looked at Lu Muyen, who was calm and composed, with conflict ion in her eyes. She was confused. What exactly was the origin of this woman? She was the young miss, born from the main wife, raised by the Xiang clan, one of the 10 distinguished clans in the eastern region. She had the capital to be arrogant, but she wasn't stupid. Until she knew the identity of the woman opposite her, she wouldn't do anything against her on the surface for the time being. She sure didn't want to offend a stronger force than the Xiang clan for a mysterious stone. Of course, if this woman had an average background, then she'd remember today's grievances of her taking the rock, and eventually find this woman to make her repay. Not only were the outsiders stupefied, but even Yun Lan and the others were shocked. What was happening here? How could Lu Muyen possess the corpse of a flame unicorn beast equivalent to the strength of a sword sovereign? This flame unicorn beast was of a superior demonic beast species. The skin of its entire body was composed of pieces of fire attribute scales. It could be said that its defense was abnormal amongst demonic beasts, and its ability to escape was also extremely strong. Even a sword sovereign expert might not be able to kill it. The strongest person's cultivation base in Yinzhou Kingdom was only the sword sovereign ancestor of the Imperial family that had long gone into closed-door cultivation. The other distinguished clans and noble families had no sword sovereign experts, and the Lu clan behind Lu Muyan didn't even have a sword monarch expert. So how did she obtain such a super high-level demonic beast corpse? It simply didn't make sense at all. They couldn't see through Lu Muyan more and more. Luckily they all had a very good heart, otherwise, with the way this woman was constantly stimulating them from time to time, they would be stimulated to the point they might even fall ill. Have you touched it enough? Seeing Hua Xiao's appearance, as if he was some inexperienced person, Lu Muyan's mouth twitched. This man was at least a smith that wasn't at that low of a level. Yet now that he saw a flame unicorn beast, his eyeballs appeared as if it wanted to be glued to the demonic beast's corpse. Hua Xiao swallowed, raised his head with excitement, and pointed to the crystals on the table saying, "I'll trade. You can take all of these things. I'll trade with you." Wait. Don't be so hasty yet. I didn't say that I'd use the entire flame unicorn beast's corpse to exchange for whatever this rock is. As for those crystals, it's even less worth it. Lu Muyan raised her eyebrow, took the dark gray rock, and threw it up and down in her hand casually, with a look as if saying, "It's not like I'm an idiot." All the people present didn't feel as if there was anything wrong with her attitude. Instead, this woman was truly a prodigal. With the corpse of this demonic beast, even if it were a few scales, it'd be much more valuable than that rock. They really didn't know what sort of brain circuit this girl had to actually be willing to use it to trade. What do you mean? Just tell me directly, what do you want to do? I want this demonic beast corpse. Hua Xiao blocked the flame unicorn beast's corpse with half his body, as if a wolf defending its food. This kind of high-level smithing material was superb. Whether he'd be able to chance upon something like this again in the future was uncertain, so he sure didn't want to miss this chance. What do I mean? You tell me. Can you compare this tier 6 flame unicorn beast to the value of this ugly rock and that pile of crystals? Lu Muyan asked instead. She had her own plans, and she wanted Hua Xiao to walk right into the trap she designed herself. Hua Xiao wasn't scheming, and his temperament was relatively straightforward. So after hearing Lu Muyan's question, he nodded honestly. It's definitely incomparable. Your flame unicorn beast is more valuable. Then am I a foolish spender? This is obviously a losing trade. Will I be that dumb and give you the entire flame unicorn beast for these ugly rocks? If it were you, would you? Lu Muyan continued to ask. I want. Hua Xiao shook his head and added silently in his heart, only an idiot will. But right now, he sure hoped that this woman before him was an idiot. The surrounding crowd couldn't help but roll their eyes upon hearing Lu Muyan ask this question. If you're not a foolish spender, nor an idiot, then would you take out such a precious flame unicorn beast corpse to trade for a random, ugly stone? Xiao Xiang was even more speechless and murmured beneath his breath. Prodigal lady, she's really a prodigal lady. Note, well, what a reason for Xianing Xian to hate Lu Muyan, for her beauty. But then I continued translating, and realized she wasn't the idiot. I thought she was gonna be ha ha ha. I've read too many cultivation novels with stupid young masters, and young misses, that just up and go you're courting death, that I thought that was where this was going ha ha ha. But the Xiang clan, still an enemy regardless. Man, it really is like I'm reading this novel for the first time lol. Chapter 69. Forge a feud. Lu Muyan was satisfied that Hua Xiao had followed the direction her words wanted to take him. Seeing that almost all the people around them looked at her with the same "you're a fool" look, her lips rose into a meaningful smile. These people didn't know the value of the dark gray stone. If they knew, they'd find that the corpse of a flame unicorn beast couldn't be compared to it. But she definitely wasn't kind enough to explain the wonders of this stone's use. Alright, I won't make a fuss about how you changed your mind previously. So I'll use 1/5 of the flame unicorn beast's corpse to exchange for this stone, and those crystals. Lu Muyan kept holding the rock in her hand. On the surface, she appeared as if she didn't care, but she was actually afraid of it being snatched by others. 1/5. That's a little too less. Hua Xiao's eyes widened. After seeing an entire flame unicorn beast, how could he bear to give it up? Lu Muyen chuckled softly, smiling exceptionally radiantly. 1/5 is already a lot. 1/5 of the corpse of my flame unicorn beast is already larger than that crimson fox. Speaking of, it seems I'm the one that's suffering a loss. Of course, if you feel that you're suffering a loss, then I'm too lazy to bother with you anymore. Just go trade with that young Mississippi. Lu Muyen displayed a nonchalant and indifferent gesture, throwing the dark gray stone she was playing with back to Huashao. Huashao suddenly felt that the stone that he previously considered a treasure had become a burning problem. In terms of size and value, 1/5 of the corpse of the flame unicorn beast, from this purple-clothed woman, was indeed far better than the red-clothed woman's crimson fox. How could one choose copper coins after seeing gold coins? He wasn't that stupid to lose something big because of something small. But this woman sure remembered her grudge as well. She still remembered how he wanted to back out earlier. Can we discuss it a bit more? You can use 1/5 of the flame unicorn beast's corpse to trade for my stone and the crystals, but I want to discuss with you about the remainder of the corpse. Hua Xiao pondered deeply, then decided that he would take out all the good things he had accumulated to see if he could trade them for the entire flame unicorn beast's corpse from this woman. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow as she stroked her chin under Hua Xiao's nervous gaze, then said leisurely after a while of silence, I'm in a good mood today, so discussing with you is fine, but this isn't the place to talk. No worries, we'll go wherever you think is appropriate. Hua Xiao's face brightened and said with haste and urgency, as long as she was willing to talk, then there was still a chance. Lu Muyen glanced at him with disdain, put away the flame unicorn beast on the ground, then nodded and said, then let's go. Hua Xiao packed away all the crystals from the stall, thought a little, then stuffed the dark gray stone quickly into Lu Muyen's hands, as if afraid she would go back on her words. This stone's counted as a deposit, you take it first. Aren't you afraid of me running away with it? Lu Muyen concealed the smile in her eyes. Everything was under her control. Why should I be afraid? I absolutely believe in your credibility, Mississippi. Hua Xiao's unshaven face pulled a smile that he thought was very sincere. He had never done such condescending things in his life, but for the flame unicorn beast's corpse had bear it. Lu Muyen took the stone slowly and nodded. All right. I'll temporarily accept this stone since you're pleasing to the eye. I'll return it if we don't come to an agreement. The others that heard this were completely speechless. Or was this stall owner pleasing to the eye? He had such a sloppy look, with clothes stained with soil. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, it seemed that she wasn't only just a foolish spender, but her eyes weren't good either. Of course, we'll agree. How could we not come to an agreement? Hua Xiao said immediately. Even if he couldn't get the remaining flame unicorn beast's corpse, he'd still take that 1/5. Then are you still going to trade with another? That young miss is still waiting for your reply. Lu Muyen looked at Exaning Xian, who had a grim expression, and asked Hua Xiao with a smile. She was very vengeful. She still remembered how this woman wanted to snatch her things arrogantly just now, and also her act of pointing her finger at her. Not to mention she had a feeling that in the future, she'd inevitably forge a huge feud with the woman. Since that was the case, then it didn't hurt to offend her more right now. Her intuition had always been rather accurate, and because of this keen sense of foresight, she had escaped numerous catastrophes before. Young miss, please put your crimson fox away now. She indeed took out a corpse of a demonic beast that was higher in tier than yours, so you didn't lose unjustly. Hua Xiao pointed to the crimson fox's corpse on the ground, and there was some irreverence in his eyes. Exaning Xian took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in her heart. She glanced at Lu Muyen with an obscure cold look, put away the crimson fox, then quickly left with the people she brought. After leaving the markets, Exaning Xian's face was as grim as ink, and she ordered a man beside her. Go and investigate that woman. A viciousness flashed past in her eyes. If that woman's background was stronger than hers, then she'd swallow this for the time being. But if that woman was just a small clan's pupil, then she'd slowly play her to death. Yes, third young Mississippi. Lu Muyen looked thoughtfully in the direction Exaning Xian left, and was even more determined to find the deep orchid in the glacial mountain range. She must quickly refine the foundation establishment pill and improve her strength. After leaving the free trade zone, Lu Muyen smiled and asked the others, "How about we go to the commercial stores to have a look?" She wanted to collect more spiritual herbs in case of any emergency in the future. Little sister has the say. Lu Mubei's indifferent eyes displayed a bit of pampering. He wouldn't ask Lu Muyen where she obtained the flame unicorn beast. As long as his younger sister was fine, then he'd be satisfied. Yunlan and the others wanted to go to the commercial area to have a look to begin with, so they naturally wouldn't refuse. Only Huashao looked miserable, but he didn't dare to offend this little grand-aunt one before him, so he could only tag along with them. After the few people left, the crowd of onlookers gradually dispersed. Some of them also secretly ordered others to investigate Lu Muyen's background. Truth be told, Lu Muyen didn't really want to take out the corpse of the flame unicorn beast to trade with Huashao so ostentatiously, except after that woman interfered, and for Mo Yan's need of that stone, she could only show off a little. As for the consequences of taking out the flame unicorn beast, she had already thought about it. The marrow cleansing pill had already been known to everyone. Didn't she have a mysterious master? It didn't matter to put more responsibility onto her master. She believed that those people who secretly investigated her would definitely attribute her possession of the flame unicorn beast to that master. Speaking of master, Ming Xiu's figure suddenly flashed through Lu Muyen's mind. Her lips raised in a merry arc. Who knew what that devilish man's reaction would be if he knew that she traded the flame unicorn beast so casually? She reached out her hand and rubbed the ice bangle on her wrist. This bangle truly gave her a weird feeling. There seemed to be a sliver of connection between her and it. Yet it also seemed that there was none, drawing them together yet not quite. This ice bangle was definitely extraordinary, but she hadn't found the trick to unseal it. Or maybe she couldn't establish a deeper connection because she was still too weak. If she could meet Ming Xiu again, she could definitely ask him. She always had a feeling of spiritual harmony with this ice bangle, so she really wanted to know its secret. One often said in verbal fights my female who would refer to themselves as grandaunt, to show dominance. Just like how in Chinese, some men would say I'm your old man/father, or I'm your grandfather to show dominance in a verbal fight. Likewise females might also say I'm your mother. You're my grandson/you're a grandson is also an insult, because it calls them weak. Chapter 70. The Yiqing Han that Yunlan spoke of once one saw a row of shops side by side after passing through the other path of the markets. One would see that there were still people coming and going, but there were less hawking and trading. Lu Muyen and the rest walked slowly along from the first shop. When she saw things that she wanted, even if the price wasn't considered low, she would still buy them without hesitation, which made others inwardly scream that she was too prodigal. However, remembering that she not only had the huge sum of money she obtained from auctioning off the marrow cleansing pill last time, but she also currently had a flame unicorn beast's corpse with value not lower than the marrow cleansing pill, they began to feel more at ease. She indeed had the capital to be prodigal. Xiao Ziong and Yun Jin exchanged looks and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Comparing oneself to another could definitely infuriate oneself to death. Does Muyen know who the girl who fought with you for the stone is? Yunlan walked beside Lu Muyen and asked with worry in his voice. The moment Lu Muyen heard his tone, she guessed that he definitely knew, so she smiled indicatively and asked, I don't really know, but it seems that cousin knows? She's from one of the 10 distinguished clans of the eastern region, the Xang clan's third young miss, and the daughter of the main wife, Xining Xian. Because her talents were exceptional, so she's highly valued by the Xang clan. Yunlan paused, then added, she's arrogant and ostentatious, and easily holds grudges. After you snatched what she wanted just now, I'm afraid she already ordered people to investigate your background. Arrogant and ostentatious? Lu Muyan's star-like black eyes revealed some nostalgia. Her back when she was in the spiritual world was what was considered true arrogance and ostentatious behavior. How could Xianing Xian's restricted arrogance compare? However, That woman definitely wasn't an idiot, so it was best to guard against her in the future. Xian clan? Is it one of the 10 distinguished clans like maternal grandpa's Ling clan? Speaking of the Xian clan, Lu Muyen remembered what her mother said that day. Wasn't Xian clan one of the main clans that dropped stones on the Ling clan, who had fallen into a well and suppressed them on purpose? Yunlan nodded. That's right. But now, because Xianing Xian's father had advanced to a sword sovereign expert, plus the plundering of the Ling clan's resources over the recent years, the Xian clan's ranking already leapt to number 5 among the 10 distinguished clans. The Ling clan was Lu Muyan's maternal grandfather's family, so he didn't want to conceal anything from her. The main reason that he didn't stop Lu Muyan, even though he clearly knew that Xianing Xian wasn't someone they should offend, was because the two were bound to become enemies due to their clans. Stepping on the Ling clan to climb to the top, it must taste great. Let's just let them enjoy the satisfaction of standing on high grounds a little longer. Lu Muyan's eyes were full of coldness. Wasn't falling from a high place even worse? No wonder when she first met Xianing Xian earlier, she had a premonition that she would forge a great feud with her. So it was because their identities already determined that they would become enemies. How's the relationship between Xianing Xian and Xue Ling? Lu Muyan asked, raising her eyes to look at Yunlan. The situations concerning the 10 distinguished clans couldn't be obtained through investigations, and the general's mansion didn't know much either. So only someone like Yunlan, a child who was highly valued by the Imperial family, could possibly know something. The Xian clan and the Xue clan have secretly cooperated for many years, and their relationship's very good. But despite both being the daughter of the main wife, with excelling talents in their respective families, their relationship isn't compatible. To the point it was as if they were like fire and water, and they even clashed a few times. Yunlan naturally knew about how Xue Ling had annulled the engagement with Ling Fei Yang, and considered Xue Ling to be very lowly in his eyes. They're both women favored by the heavens, so they'll definitely always compare themselves to the other, so it's natural they didn't like each other. Lu Muyan shrugged her shoulders with a smile. She only came into contact with Xianing Xian for a short moment just now, but it wasn't hard to see that within the woman's arrogance, there carried a sense of viciousness. With such a temperament, it was natural that she didn't get along with the person she compared herself to, like Xue Lin, who was also a woman favored by the heavens. Not only did they clash because of this, but I've heard that they even secretly fought for the sake of a man. Yunlan revealed a rare look of interest in gossip. Lu Muyan didn't think that the two had such a grudge against each other, and was slightly curious about what sort of man was able to make the two of them scramble for him, completely disregarding their own face. Fought for a man? Who? Number 2 of the 10 distinguished clans, the Yi clan's young lord, Yi Qinghan. When Yunlan mentioned the name Yi Qinghan, a slight smile flashed through his eyes. Pu, Yi Qinghan? Lu Muyan couldn't help but laugh aloud. She really couldn't imagine Yi Qinghan being fought over by 2 women. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, she believed that such an image was just too beautiful that she simply couldn't bear to look directly at it too. What's wrong? Yunlan was a little surprised and confused by Lu Muyan's reaction. Lu Muyan held back her gloating smile and shook her head. Nothing. Then did Yi Qinghan choose one of the 2? Of course he didn't. Yi Qinghan's eyes aren't that bad. Yunlan's tone was definitive. Lu Muyan discovered that when Yunlan mentioned Yi Qinghan, there was an indescribable emotion in his words. It wasn't like speaking of an enemy, but it wasn't like a friend either. Do you know Yi Qinghan? You believe his eyesight this much? I've met him a few times before. He's always been a person I wanted to surpass. Yunlan smiled softly. He was defeated by Yi Qinghan twice, and was unhappy within. But he had the determination to surpass that person. Person you want to surpass? You sure think highly of him. Speaking of Yi Qinghan, Lu Muyan also unconsciously revealed slight warmth in her eyes. It could be considered that he was the first friend she made after coming to this world. Yunlan nodded with a smile. That's right. He's a very good virtual opponent 3. His talent is definitely stronger than your elder brother, and not weaker. Hearing Yun Lan think so highly of Yi Qingyan, Lu Muyen nodded. Last time at the blazing mountain range, she was certain Yi Qinghan still concealed quite a bit of his strength. Yi Qinghan definitely would participate in the competition to vie for one of the quotas between the 10 distinguished clans, so they would most likely meet in the glacial mountain range. She guessed that the Yi Qingyan, after taking the marrow cleansing pill, should have already broken through to the strength of a sword king. What are you two muttering there about? Xiao Ziong walked over beside the two and said as he looked at Lu Muyen, "Come and see what you think about this spiritual herb?" Ever since Xiao Ziong knew that Lu Muyen was a grade 1 alchemist and had a powerful alchemist master, his attitude towards her had improved. It wasn't because of the master behind her, but it was simply because it felt as if they were like-minded people. Lu Muyen didn't dislike people like Xiao Ziong, who was straightforward and crude, as she followed him to the counter to choose a few spiritual herbs. Then they wandered around all the shops, but they didn't gain as much as they did in the free trade zone. Although Lu Muyen did manage to buy a few spiritual herbs required for some pills, but she didn't meet any previous, high-level spiritual herbs. After exiting the markets, and after Lu Muyen and Yun Lan discussed the promised alliance with each other in the glacial mountain range, Lu Muyen took Huashao and left with Lu Mubai. Qi Xian didn't thicken his face and follow. He also knew that Lu Muyen had things to discuss with Huashao, and it was inconvenient for him to interfere. Qi Xian had a fairly good relationship with Yun Lan and the others, so he was also invited to be a part of the alliance. After parting ways with Lu Muyen, he went to the inn where Yun Jin and the others stayed to discuss the matter of the alliance. Except the bitterness in his heart only grew stronger. He clenched his fists tightly. When facing Lu Muyen, who was becoming more and more outstanding, he began to feel pressured. Regardless, the most important thing right now was to improve his strength and take a trial place for himself. He was only qualified to have Lu Muyen if he was stronger than her. One idiom meaning to hit a person when they're down. 2, it's sarcastic, just in case people didn't catch up on that. But I think I made it clear XD. Yes indeed, it will simply be too beautiful to look at. 3, he means that when he cultivates and trains, he can imagine Yi Qinghan as an opponent and imagine battling him to improve himself. So kinda virtual. Random note. Somewhat questionable thought at the end there, Qi Xian. But typical you. Good luck with that XD. Hey, race the chapter. Better late than never. Enjoy. Chapter 71. Lead Huashao by the nose. Lu Muyen took Huashao to the inn where the academy students stayed, found a vacant room, and set up a soundproof array. Then she took out a pot of spiritual tea and poured a cup for Lu Mubai and Huashao each. After passing the teacup to Huashao, she asked him, "What's your name?" Huashao. Huashao stared at the golden, rich, and fragrant spiritual tea, held it to the tip of his nose and sniffed with an intoxicated expression, taking a sip as if it simply wasn't enough. Great tea. The corner of Lu Muyen's mouth couldn't help but twitch upon seeing Huashao look, as if he had never seen anything good in his entire life. Didn't they say smithing and alchemy were extremely wealthy professions? How could this person look as if he had never seen this world before? How old are you? 36. Huashao sipped the spiritual tea in small mouthfuls, while answering the boring questions posed by the woman opposite. Lu Muyen looked at him from head to toe. His hair was loose and untamed, covering most of his face, was dressed in sloppy clothes, and there was even some dirt on this man's body. With such a rough appearance, he didn't look like he had the vitality a 30-something-year-old man should have. Huashao also noticed the woman's look of disapproval, looked down at his clothes, then laughed dryly. I was refining a spirit treasure, and when I came out of my workshop, I ran straight to the market to set up a stall, so I didn't fix myself. Lu Muyen nodded and continued to ask, "You're a grade 3 smith, right?" "How do you know?" Huashao, who was drinking tea, raised his head suddenly and looked at Lu Muyen in surprise and confusion. He only broke through to a grade 3 smith last month. No one else knew about this, so how did this woman discover it? Of course it's because I could see it. Lu Muyen smiled beautifully and inadvertently revealed a confident look. Hua Xiao looked at the confident and lively woman opposite and furrowed his brows. Impossible. The level of a smith couldn't be seen like someone's cultivation base. I don't believe it. Is there a very faint black line on your left middle finger? Lu Muyin asked instead of answering. Hua Xiao immediately stretched out his left hand. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that there was indeed a black line connecting his palm to the middle finger of his hand, extending towards the first joint line. Shocked, he looked up at Lu Muyin and asked, "I'm poisoned." Lu Muyin rolled her eyes at him and said with disapproval, "It's truly terrifying to be uncultured. As a smith, don't you know what fire poison is?" Although smiths and alchemists both often come into contact with fire, but because the spiritual herbs that alchemists refine naturally offset the toxins in the fire, so one wouldn't easily become poisoned by fire poison. Even if there was fire poison left in the body, it could be cured by a pill. Meanwhile, smiths were frequently required to refine some spars one or demonic beast skins, and fire is often used during the refining process. So the elemental energy flame would absorb the residual poison of those materials, which will eventually become fire poison deposited in the body. If one left it for a long time, it would bring hidden dangers to the body, and even cause death by poisoning. Hua Xiao wasn't a stupid person either. After hearing Lu Muyin's words, he asked, "You're saying that this black line is produced by the fire poison that's deposited in my body from refining magic tools? You judge that I'm a grade 3 smith based on this?" "Yep, it seems you aren't that stupid." Lu Muyin chuckled. "If the fire poison accumulated in a grade 2 alchemist isn't removed, then a faint black line would slowly appear on the left middle finger. After advancing to a grade 3 smith, if the fire poison isn't removed, then the black line would extend to the first joint line of the middle finger." "What about those above grade 3? Hua Xiao asked hurriedly. "The faint black line would darken in color for those above grade 3, and slowly extend upward. After reaching a grade 4 smith, if the fire poison still hasn't been removed, then the black line will extend directly to the nail. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Muyin picked up the teacup and sipped it softly. Then she raised her eyes and smiled indicatively, saying, "If the black line extends to the position of the nail, it also means that the person's life is coming to an end." Hua Xiao's face stiffened. He had heard about fire poison being harmful, but he didn't expect that it was this dangerous. He could judge that the woman sitting opposite wasn't exaggerating to scare him. But how did she know? He leaned forward a little, and the faint fragrance of medicine on the opposite person's body penetrated his nose. He looked at Lu Muyin with a smile in his eyes and asked, "You're a physician or alchemist? Does it have anything to do with you whether I am or not?" Lu Muyin covered her nose and backed into her chair, then said with furrowed brows, "Stay away from me. The sour smell on your body is really too much." Hua Xiao stretched his sleeves to his nose, smelled it, and there was indeed an unpleasant sour smell. He smiled awkwardly. "I was leaving in a hurry and didn't get time to wash up." "Oh, go wash up tonight. You really should wash yourself well." Lu Muyin displayed some approval in her eyes. Lu Muyin didn't want to talk about being an alchemist, so Hua Xiao didn't ask anymore. He sat upright, took a few more sips of tea, and continued speaking after falling silent for a while. "Let's talk about the corpse of the flame unicorn beast." "Sure. Do you want a whole flame unicorn beast?" Lu Muyin asked, raising the corner of her lips. "Of course I do." Hua Xiao nodded. The flame unicorn beast was the best refining material he had ever seen in his life, and it perfectly fitted the main material he had desperately imagined, for a long time, to use to refine a spirit treasure with. "Then show some sincerity. What would you give in exchange?" Lu Muyin stroked the rim of the cup, her voice a little sharp. Hua Xiao gritted his teeth and moved all the valuables he had from his interspatial ring to the tabletop, then said, "These are all the good things I have with me. You can pick whatever you want yourself." Lu Muyin glanced at the things on the table, most of which were spar materials for smithing, and spirit tools, spirit treasures. "I've got no interest in these things on the table." A look of disappointment flashed across Hua Xiao's eyes. Although smithing was a very profitable profession, but it also consumed a vast amount of money, In order to advance to a grade 3 smith, most of his savings were spent on buying materials for refining to break through. So he really couldn't take out anything good to trade. But he eagerly wanted the corpse of the flame unicorn beast. So he said, "Tell me, what should I do so that you'd give me the entire flame unicorn beast corpse?" "Oh yeah, how about I'll provide all the spirit treasures you want in the future, but the rare and hard-to-find materials need to be provided by you," Hua Xiao added. He believed that no one could reject such a promise from a grade 3 smith. Lu Muyin raised her eyebrow and sneered. "The spirit treasures you refine for me aren't even worthy to enter my eyes." When she was in the spirit world, she knew how to refine tools herself, and her level was far higher than that of Hua Xiao's, so how could she think highly of the things Hua Xiao refined? It just wasn't on the same level. Of course, a grade 3 smith like Hua Xiao was of little use to her, but was extremely useful to the Lu clan. Otherwise she wouldn't set up this trap for Hua Xiao to jump in willingly. Hua Xiao's confident smile immediately cracked and slight anger rose in his eyes. He slammed the table and shouted, "What? You look down on the spirit treasures I refine? Do you know what kind of existence a grade 3 smith is?" "What kind of existence?" Lu Muyin asked with folded arms and a smile of interest. In the entire eastern region, the highest level of smithing is only grade 4, and there'll be no more than 4 people. Although there are a little more grade 3 smiths, but there won't be more than 20. Hua Xiao snorted coldly. "If I go out now and join a random kingdom, force, or clan at will, they'd all worship me as a super guest. The magic tools I refine would be even more desirable than that by numerous people. You tell me what kind of existence a grade 3 smith is?" Lu Muyin lowered her head and chuckled, then picked up a shield made by Hua Xiao on the table, and said nonchalantly, "So what about a grade 3 smith? There are still very big flaws in the spirit treasures you've refined." One changed crystals to spar. Chapter 72. Take as a master. Hearing the word flaw, Hua Xiao's body froze, and he looked at Lu Muyin with a complicated look. Smiths cherished every single magic tool they refined themselves. He was obsessed with smithing, and although he had an arrogant side, he could also receive teachings with humbleness. "Can you tell what sort of flaws there are on this spirit treasure? I'll be convinced if you can tell me." Lu Muyin put away her smiles and her expression grew more serious. "You lacked a material when you were refining this shield, and the heat in several places weren't controlled that well. So this can only count as a low-level spirit treasure. You can see what materials I lacked when refining just like that." Hua Xiao looked at her incredulously. He discovered that he had belittled this woman too much before. Lu Muyin raised an eyebrow. "How difficult is that? What's missing is the profound ice jade. The biggest flaw of your shield is that it can't withstand ice attacks. If it met a high-level sword master who uses ice attributes very skillfully, then your shield would become a useless burden. Then the heat in several places that weren't controlled well could also be told by looking at it." Hua Xiao asked eagerly. Since he first came into contact with smithing, he mostly taught and explored this area by himself based on his excellent smithing talent. So he did indeed lack some skill in controlling the heat. While refining this spirit treasure shield, he made 3 mistakes when controlling the heat. So he really wanted to hear Lu Muyin's opinion. Lu Muyin picked up the shield and turned it to the innermost side. She pointed to a dark cyan line and said, "The overall shield body is cyan in color, but the cyan here is much darker, indicating that the firepower used during the second solidification of the shield was too strong." Then she pointed to an inconspicuous faint red light on the shield and said, "When you added the fire attribute spar and other materials to dissolve together, the firepower was slightly weaker, so the fusion here wasn't the best. Then look at this. The edges of the shield aren't smooth, indicating that your mentality wasn't relaxed enough when the shield was being formed. Because of your eagerness, the firepower was a bit high, which caused slight jaggedness on the side. That's roughly about it for the problems with the heat for this shield." Lu Muyin took this seriously and said with a tone of disapproval, "If I were you, I wouldn't refine this shield spirit treasure without the profound ice jade. Not only did you waste a lot of materials, but the quality of the shield was also lowered by 2 levels. When Lu Muyen said it so seriously, Hua Xiao's previous anger dissipated, and his eyes were full of shock. He was completely stunned by her. Her tone when speaking about smithing were as if she were familiar with it. She must be a mid-high level expert. So his old face blushed. My shield was made at the time to advance to a grade 3 smith, and at the time I just couldn't find the profound ice jade. So I made do. What's the purpose of advancing? Naturally it's to improve your smithing ability. When Lu Muyen spoke about professional matters, she unconsciously displayed a natural seriousness and self-confidence. The fundamental thing for smiths is to refine every magic tool to as close to perfection as possible with their heart. You definitely can't make do. If you do that often, then how would you be able to find the perfect opportunity to break through to an even higher level? You're not in the right mentality to begin with. With this, you can't go far. Hua Xiao listened carefully and discovered that Lu Muyen wasn't like a 16 or 17-year-old girl at all right now. Instead, she felt like a veteran smith, calm and leisurely. He couldn't help but be convinced by the words she said as well. Yes, that's right. I used to be too smug. Hua Xiao nodded with enlightenment. Lu Muyen was right. He became a little proud and complacent ever since he broke through to a grade 2 smith. In order to advance to a grade 3 smith faster, he did give up some of the principles he used to adhere to. After being analyzed so frankly by her, he felt as if he had been struck and enlightened. But at the same time, he felt fear in hindsight. If he really continued to walk on the current path, his future achievements would peak at a grade 4 smith, which was far from his goal. Thank you, young Miss Lu, for your advice. I've noted this favor. If Hua Xiao thought that Lu Muyen was young and frivolous before and belittled her, then he was sincerely grateful now. Lu Muyen was very satisfied with Hua Xiao's change. This person could still be taught. No need. Let's continue to talk about the trade now. Wait, can I ask young Miss Lu a question first? Hua Xiao's expression displayed a somewhat indescribable and complicated look. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyen smiled, yet not quite smiled at him, and said, Ask. Is young Miss Lu a smith? I'm not quite a smith right now. She had never refined any magic tools ever since coming here. So technically she still wasn't considered a smith. Hua Xiao looked at Lu Muyen dumbfounded. Not a smith? As if that could be true. Then you understand smithing? Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him. Nonsense, if I don't understand smithing, then how could I point out the flaws in your shield? Can you ask some deeper questions? Hua Xiao pursed his lips inwardly. The questions you asked me before didn't have much depth. Hua Xiao suddenly stood up and bowed to Lu Muyen, with a serious expression on his face and firmness in his eyes. Young Miss Lu, I want you to be my master, please accept me. Hua Xiao's attitude suddenly reversed, looking at Lu Muyen sincerely as if saying, if you don't accept me, I'll let you see how I die. Lu Muyen held her forehead. She truly didn't know what sort of brain circuit Hua Xiao had. She just casually said some simple things, and suddenly he wanted to take her as his master. Maybe I don't know as much as you, so wouldn't it be a disadvantage for you to take me as your master? Lu Muyen said, teasing. Hua Xiao shook his head. From the moment you looked at the shield I refined, I found that your proficiency in smithing is better than me. Even if you aren't a smith now, but I believe that you understand more things than I do. He was obsessed with the art of smithing, even if he had almost lost his way on the path of a smith, because of his arrogance and complacency. But he was a modest and studious person. This young woman completely convinced him, so he was willing to sincerely ask Lu Muyen to become his master. He could tell that she understood far more than him. Lu Muyen stroked her chin to look like she was contemplating, and then exchanged a look with Lu Mubai. Seeing the approval in the other's eyes, a smile of success rose on her lips. Originally, according to her plan, she only wanted to take Hua Xiao under her wing and let him refine magic tools for the Lu clan. But she didn't expect Hua Xiao to want to take her as his master after being taught a lesson by her. After analyzing the advantages and disadvantages, she felt that it was a waste not to accept a grade 3 smith as a disciple. In this world where teachers were highly respected, a relationship with a disciple was much more solid and reliable than a relationship with collaborators. Have you taken other people as masters? Never. Since I became a smith, I've been studying it myself. A touch of amazement flashed by Lu Muyan's eyes. It seemed that Hua Xiao's talent for refining wasn't just strong. He could have such an achievement without a master, and having been self-taught. She really picked up a huge bargain. Although I know a lot of smithing methods, but I don't know how to teach you. Maybe you should change a teacher. Lu Muyan pretended to shirk. Hua Xiao's eyes lit up when he heard the phrase "I know a lot of smithing methods," and directly knelt down in front of Lu Muyan, saying respectfully, "Master, please accept this disciple." If he could take a great person as a master, kneeling was only a small matter. Lu Muyan was taken aback by his actions, and immediately dragged him up. She really didn't like others kneeling down to her. "All right, I'll accept you as my disciple for the time being. We'll make it 3 years. If you want to back out afterwards, I'll allow it." Although she set a trap for Hua Xiao to crawl into, but she didn't like to force others. However, she believed that after 3 years, Hua Xiao would definitely be a proper, obedient disciple. All right, Hua Xiao didn't expect this cunning woman to have such a considerate side, and his heart grew more sincere. He just felt that today's choice would be the wisest decision made in his entire life. The two high-fived in representation of their alliance. Hua Xiao formally became Lu Muyan's disciple, and since then, embarked on a path of smithing full of oppression and exploitation. Yet he felt both pain and joy in it. The Glacial Mountain Range was located in the southeast of Glacial City. The entire mountain range undulated continuously, and no matter from which angle, there was no end to it, only a piece of white. After reaching the entrance of the Glacial Mountain Range, everyone walked into the mountain range. "Lu Muyan, why did you wear white clothes today?" Lan Si knew that Lu Muyan usually wore all styles of light purple, so when she suddenly changed into white clothes today, it made her even more beautiful, with an elegant and refined temperament. He was secretly amazed. Lu Muyan shrugged and said, "I don't want to be a living target. Didn't teacher also change your clothes to light blue?" "I also don't want to be a living target." Lan Si wasn't fazed by her questioning him, and an elegant smile rose on his handsome face. Exactly. Lu Muyan discovered that Lan Si was a fox that wore an elegant skin, and was also extremely bored. Along the way, from time to time, they encountered groups of mercenaries or individual adventurers in the Glacial Mountain Range. They just looked at each other and left separately. In such a dangerous place, everyone rarely spoke with unfamiliar people. After walking for around more than 2 hours, they completely entered the periphery of the Glacial Mountain Range. The Glacial Mountain Range was the same as the other treacherous zones. They're divided into the periphery, outer ring, the border between the outer ring and the inner ring and the center ring. With your cultivation base, you can only move in the border between the outer ring and inner ring. You must not go deep into the inner ring and the center ring. Otherwise you'll most likely not return, and be left with no corpse. Lan Si introduced the situation of the Glacial Mountain Range to everyone as they walked. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring mostly has Tier 5 demonic beasts, but from time to time, there'll be higher-level demonic beasts appearing. When you encounter them, the first thing to do is run. Don't feel embarrassed by it. The most important thing is to save your life. And the inner ring of the Glacial Mountain Range is where even I don't dare go deep. That's Tier 6 demonic beasts territory. The kings of the demonic beasts occupy their own areas. And if someone accidentally breaks into their territory, then their end will definitely be miserable. Lan Si wore a joking smile on his lips. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can go try it. Take responsibility for the outcome yourself though. Teacher, then which ring are we training in? The outer ring? A student couldn't help but ask. Lan Si glanced at him and smiled, saying, "Do you think that's possible? The trial isn't as simple as you think. So the place where you'll participate in the trial is the border between the outer ring and the inner ring." But except for upperclassman Lu, the strongest amongst us only at peak phase sword spirit. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring is where Tier 5 demonic beasts roam. If we encounter them, it'll be difficult to run. Another student said, concerned. Are you afraid of death? Lan Si suddenly asked the people present before answering. Not afraid. The 11 people said in unison, but their voices weren't the same in firmness and magnitude. Lan Si smiled meaningfully, but what he said was like a knife. Exactly. The trial isn't an ordinary experience organized by the academy. You could lose your little life at any time. So you really must be careful. You need to make keeping yourselves alive the main thing at any moment. If you emerge above the rest this time, you'll still face danger or death at any time when you participate in the tournament for hegemony. This was the path of the strong. Then Lan Si's tone switched, and he put away his smile, replacing it with an unprecedented seriousness. Of course, if some of you are afraid of encountering danger, the fact that you'd die anywhere, without even a burial, then you can still withdraw now. Hearing this, a few people turned pale and showed some expressions of struggles. In the end, the huge benefits behind the trial lead them to decide not to withdraw. Very well. Since you've chosen to take the risks, then show me what the academy students should look like. Don't discredit the academy. Lan Si changed from his usual gentleness to a very serious expression. Yes, everyone promised. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After that, Lan Si cautioned the students about what things to pay attention to in the glacial mountain range, then led them quickly in their journey. After around half a day, according to the time, it should be night time, but the glacial mountain range was still as bright as daylight. There wasn't any difference between day or night in the glacial mountain range, only endless days, and one had to judge the time by themselves. When everyone arrived at the foot of a low-lying snow-capped mountain, Lan Si took out a bamboo piece, placed it in his mouth and blew it. Several sweet but not too loud sounds echoed in the open mountain. Not long after, the same sound rang from halfway up the mountain. Lan Si waved his hand and led everyone up the mountain. When they reached the middle of the mountain, they found that there was a huge hidden cave here. After entering the cave, they found that there was a place of uniqueness. There was a stone door deep in the cave, and after entering the stone door, one could see that there was a nicely arranged hall. In the innermost side of the hall, there was another closed wooden door. There were a dozen people sitting in the hall at this time, including an elderly man with white hair and plain clothes that sat in the main seat. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed a touch of understanding. This white-haired old man was Imperial teacher Yin Song of Yanzhou Kingdom. To get him to lead the trial, it could be seen that the trial in the glacial mountain range was highly valued by the superiors of Yanzhou Kingdom. Greetings to Imperial teacher. Lan Si and the other 3 instructors walked in front of Yin Song and greeted respectfully. Upon seeing this, Lu Muyan and the others also stepped forward to bow to Yin Song. Sit down. Yin Kim pointed to more than a dozen vacant seats that had been prepared on the other side. Yes, after Lu Muyan sat down, she observed the trial team of the Imperial family and discovered that there were 12 of them. Among them were many faces she had never seen before, and their strength was far higher than the students of the Imperial Academy. Among all the people present here, her strength was the lowest, at peak phase Great Sword Master cultivation base. It was definitely the weakest. Of course, in terms of combat power, she believed she wouldn't lose to all those who participated in the trial. While they were observing the Imperial trial team, they were also observing them. When they saw Lu Muyan, several people hadn't seen her before, not to mention seen her battle at the Imperial Academy. All revealed some contempt and incomprehension. Imperial teacher, I never knew that in such a dangerous trial, held in the glacial mountain range, allowed a great sword master cultivation base person to participate? A handsome man in a white brocade robe said coldly in the Imperial Academy trial team. Lu Muyan furrowed her brows lightly. As soon as she raised her head, she met the opponent's ice-cold eyes. In that person's eyes, there wasn't any contempt, not hostility, not disgust towards her. Only a calmness as if he were stating facts. Yun Ziemo. This name immediately popped up in Lu Muyan's mind. He was the younger brother of the same mother as Emperor Yun Tianshun. But he was only 3 years older than Yun Lan. He and Lu Mu Bai were once considered the double pride of Yanzhou Kingdom. They were both peerless geniuses of the empire, and was the most outstanding amongst the younger generation of the empire. Yun Zmo went out for training 5 years ago, and has never returned to the Imperial capital. Presumably, he came back this time for the trial quota. This man had a cold temperament, and was dedicated to pursuing the pinnacle of the path of the sword. When he was 10 years old, he became famous in the eastern region, and was even comparable to the outstanding pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. Although she hadn't seen Yun Zmo himself, but Lu Muyen concluded at a glance that this man was the one that was the person in the legends. The Glacial Mountain Range was located in the southeast of Glacial City. The entire mountain range undulated continuously, and no matter from which angle, there was no end to it, only a piece of white. After reaching the entrance of the Glacial Mountain Range, everyone walked into the mountain range. Lu Muyen, why did you wear white clothes today? Lan Si knew that Lu Muyen usually wore all styles of light purple, so when she suddenly changed into white clothes today, it made her even more beautiful, with an elegant and refined temperament. He was secretly amazed. Lu Muyen shrugged and said, I don't want to be a living target. Didn't teacher also change your clothes to light blue? I also don't want to be a living target. Lan Si wasn't fazed by her questioning him, and an elegant smile rose on his handsome face. Exactly. Lu Muyen discovered that Lan Si was a fox that wore an elegant skin, and was also extremely bored. Along the way, from time to time, they encountered groups of mercenaries or individual adventurers in the Glacial Mountain Range. They just looked at each other and left separately. In such a dangerous place, everyone rarely spoke with unfamiliar people. After walking for around more than 2 hours, they completely entered the periphery of the Glacial Mountain Range. The Glacial Mountain Range was the same as the other treacherous zones. They're divided into the periphery, outer ring, the border between the outer ring and the inner ring and the center ring. With your cultivation base, you can only move in the border between the outer ring and inner ring. You must not go deep into the inner ring and the center ring. Otherwise you'll most likely not return, and be left with no corpse. Lan Si introduced the situation of the Glacial Mountain Range to everyone as they walked. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring mostly has Tier 5 demonic beasts, but from time to time, there'll be higher-level demonic beasts appearing. When you encounter them, the first thing to do is run. Don't feel embarrassed by it. The most important thing is to save your life. And the inner ring of the Glacial Mountain Range is where even I don't dare go deep. That's Tier 6 demonic beasts territory. The kings of the demonic beasts occupy their own areas. And if someone accidentally breaks into their territory, then their end will definitely be miserable. Lan Si wore a joking smile on his lips. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can go try it. Take responsibility for the outcome yourself though. Teacher, then which ring are we training in? The outer ring? A student couldn't help but ask. Lan Si glanced at him and smiled, saying, Do you think that's possible? The trial isn't as simple as you think. So the place where you'll participate in the trial is the border between the outer ring and the inner ring. But except for upperclassman Lu, the strongest amongst us only at peak phase sword spirit. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring is where Tier 5 demonic beasts roam. If we encounter them, it'll be difficult to run. Another student said, concerned. Are you afraid of death? Lan Si suddenly asked the people present before answering. Not afraid. The 11 people said in unison, but their voices weren't the same in firmness and magnitude. Lan Si smiled meaningfully, but what he said was like a knife. Exactly. The trial isn't an ordinary experience organized by the academy. You could lose your little life at any time. So you really must be careful. You need to make keeping yourselves alive the main thing at any moment. If you emerge above the rest this time, you'll still face danger or death at any time when you participate in the tournament for hegemony. This was the path of the strong. Then Lan Si's tone switched, and he put away his smile, replacing it with an unprecedented seriousness. Of course, if some of you are afraid of encountering danger, the fact that you'd die anywhere, without even a burial, then you can still withdraw now. Hearing this, a few people turned pale and showed some expressions of struggles. In the end, the huge benefits behind the trial lead them to decide not to withdraw. Very well. Since you've chosen to take the risks, then show me what the academy students should look like. Don't discredit the academy. Lan Si changed from his usual gentleness to a very serious expression. Yes, everyone promised. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After that, Lan Si cautioned the students about what things to pay attention to in the glacial mountain range, then led them quickly in their journey. After around half a day, according to the time, it should be night time, but the glacial mountain range was still as bright as daylight. There wasn't any difference between day or night in the glacial mountain range, only endless days, and one had to judge the time by themselves. When everyone arrived at the foot of a low-lying snow-capped mountain, Lan Si took out a bamboo piece, placed it in his mouth and blew it. Several sweet but not too loud sounds echoed in the open mountain. Not long after, the same sound rang from halfway up the mountain. Lan Si waved his hand and led everyone up the mountain. When they reached the middle of the mountain, they found that there was a huge hidden cave here. After entering the cave, they found that there was a place of uniqueness. There was a stone door deep in the cave, and after entering the stone door, one could see that there was a nicely arranged hall. In the innermost side of the hall, there was another closed wooden door. There were a dozen people sitting in the hall at this time, including an elderly man with white hair and plain clothes that sat in the main seat. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed a touch of understanding. This white-haired old man was Imperial teacher Yin Song of Yanzhou Kingdom. To get him to lead the trial, it could be seen that the trial in the glacial mountain range was highly valued by the superiors of Yanzhou Kingdom. Greetings to Imperial teacher. Lan Si and the other 3 instructors walked in front of Yin Song and greeted respectfully. Upon seeing this, Lu Muyan and the others also stepped forward to bow to Yin Song. Sit down. Yin Kim pointed to more than a dozen vacant seats that had been prepared on the other side. Yes, after Lu Muyan sat down, she observed the trial team of the Imperial family and discovered that there were 12 of them. Among them were many faces she had never seen before, and their strength was far higher than the students of the Imperial Academy. Among all the people present here, her strength was the lowest, at peak phase Great Sword Master cultivation base. It was definitely the weakest. Of course, in terms of combat power, she believed she wouldn't lose to all those who participated in the trial. While they were observing the Imperial trial team, they were also observing them. When they saw Lu Muyan, several people hadn't seen her before, not to mention seen her battle at the Imperial Academy. All revealed some contempt and incomprehension. Imperial teacher, I never knew that in such a dangerous trial, held in the glacial mountain range, allowed a great sword master cultivation base person to participate? A handsome man in a white brocade robe said coldly in the Imperial Academy trial team. Lu Muyan furrowed her brows lightly. As soon as she raised her head, she met the opponent's ice-cold eyes. In that person's eyes, there wasn't any contempt, not hostility, not disgust towards her, only a calmness as if he were stating facts. Yun Ziemo. This name immediately popped up in Lu Muyan's mind. He was the younger brother of the same mother as Emperor Yun Tianshun. But he was only 3 years older than Yun Lan. He and Lu Mu Bai were once considered the double pride of Yanzhou Kingdom. They were both peerless geniuses of the empire, and was the most outstanding amongst the younger generation of the empire. Yun Ziemo went out for training 5 years ago, and has never returned to the imperial capital. Presumably, he came back this time for the trial quota. This man had a cold temperament, and was dedicated to pursuing the pinnacle of the path of the sword. When he was 10 years old, he became famous in the eastern region, and was even comparable to the outstanding pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. Although she hadn't seen Yun Ziemo himself, but Lu Muyan concluded at a glance that this man was the one that was the person in the legends. The moment Yun Ziemo's voice fell, everyone in the room cast their gazes to Lu Muyan. Lu Mu Bei's expression darkened slightly, and his brows furrowed together unhappily. Just when he wanted to speak, Lu Muyan tugged his sleeve to stop him. Do you mean Lu Muyan? She won the first place in the freshman's earth class, and she obtained the place with her own abilities. Among the people sitting here, only Lu Muyen was at the Great Sword Master cultivation stage. Who Yun Zmo was referring to was evident, so Yun Song explained with an amicable expression. After thinking a little, he added, "She defeated a middle-phase sword spirit strength student." Yun Zmo raised his eyes and glanced at Lu Muyen coldly, nodded to Yun Song and stopped talking. Yun Song knew what sort of temperament Yun Zmo had, but he also didn't want Lu Muyen to misunderstand him. The Imperial family still wanted to exchange the marrow cleansing pill from Lu Muyen for Yun Zmo to use in preparation for the continental tournament for hegemony. He couldn't let any misunderstandings form between the two. "Lu girl, Zmo is your captain for the selection trial this time, so he also asked this out of consideration for safety reasons. Don't think too much into it." Yun Zhang looked at Lu Muyen with an amicable smile. Lu Muyen sneered. "Just say that you're afraid I'll be holding everyone back. Why make it sound so pompous?" There was a smile, yet not quite a smile, on her lips, although she knew Yun Zmo didn't deliberately target herself. But this sort of roundabout way of saying she would hold everyone back still made her unhappy. Who knew who's be the one to hold others back? Her words that left no face made the expressions of many people change. Yun Zmo was the #1 cultivator among the younger generation in the empire, and he had an extremely cold temperament. Almost no one dared to provoke him, not to mention choke him like this. They didn't know whether it was because Lu Muyen had nothing to fear as she had a strong backing, or because she didn't know any better. Being young sure made one courageous. "I sure do not like to hear such words you've said, young Miss Lu. My young royal uncle is also thinking for everyone's safety. He only spoke the truth. Why are you this angry?" A yellow-clothed woman who sat beside Yun Xian revealed a look of displeasure when looking at Lu Muyen. Her meaning was very clear. "You were one to hold us back. What my royal uncle said was right, so now you're only angry because you feel guilty." They were all elites amongst the younger generation. In order to participate in the trial competition, they had all been in closed-door cultivation until now, so they didn't watch the grand competition. In her eyes, Lu Muyen was still the well-known trash of the empire. It must have been mostly luck to be able to defeat a sword spirit student. Spoke the truth. "With which eye of yours did you see that it'll be dragging you guys down? Or maybe your younger royal uncle has the ability to predict the future. If you just pulled a guess out from thin air, then please keep your mouth shut." Lu Muyen sneered. "I'll keep my own life safe during the trial, so I won't need you elites of the empire to be concerned about it." Although Lon Si had warned them that if they caused trouble for themselves, which end up taking their own lives, then they must take responsibility for that themselves. She knew that to be the truth, but the superiors of Yinzhou Kingdom wouldn't, as much as possible, let those that participated in the trial to die. And Yun Zmo, expectedly, should be one of the people from the two teams they would have secretly ordered to take care of in the trial. Her choosing to participate in the trial meant that she naturally had certainty of success. At the very least, she wouldn't be worse off than anyone in this room, in terms of having life-saving skills. She didn't need anyone to protect her. Facing Yun Zmo's doubts, Lu Muyen actually wasn't that angry. She felt that Yun Zmo didn't have malicious intent towards her, and instead, it was the other members of the Imperial team that looked down on her greatly. Except, after coming to this world, she had already grown accustomed to these strange eyes she occasionally received. The reason why she deliberately created conflict and counterattacked was so that she could more conveniently facilitate the implementation of her plan. She came to the glacial mountain range not only to participate in the trial, but also because she had a very important thing to do, that is, to find the deep orchid and refine the foundation establishment pill. When that time came, it was naturally impossible to act with these people. "That's what you said. Don't regret it when the time comes." Yun Ge smiled with ridicule and looked down upon Lu Muyen with extreme disdain. "Yun Ge, shut up." Yun Lan furrowed his brows and berated roughly, suddenly feeling a sense of disgust towards this younger sister of a different mother. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yun Ge didn't expect that his royal brother would scold her for Lu Muyen's sake, revealed an unconvinced expression, but didn't say anything again. Lu Muyen can go and seek death, as long as it didn't implicate them. It wasn't like she would help her anyways. In the Imperial team, all but Yun Lan cast looks of hostility towards Lu Muyen. Yun Zmo was their legend, was their object of worship, and they couldn't tolerate Lu Muyen belittling and slandering him so. Yun Zmo remained sitting coldly and expressionlessly, providing no indication of anything. He didn't mean to look down on Lu Muyen, nor did he believe that she would hold them back. He simply routinely asked the members of the trial teams about their situation. The cultivation base that Lu Muyen displayed was only a great sword master. With such strength, it was extremely dangerous to do missions in the border between the outer ring and the inner ring. To be more precise, it was impossible to stay alive. He meant for it to be a reminder, but ended up blundering. However, his temper was always cold, so he didn't intend to explain. This time, he not only had to participate in the trial to compete for a place, but he also shouldered the responsibility of looking after other people as much as he could. He couldn't be willful, so no matter what Lu Muyen said, if she was really in danger, he would still take action. Yun Song took a deep look at Yun Go, and already had determined the result of her trial in his heart. Alright, I'm going to talk about the rules of the trial now. Yun Song understood not to mention what happened just now. It was useless to say any more. And he could only hope that Lu Muyen wouldn't hold a grudge against Yun Zmo because of such a trivial matter. In the trial, between your two teams, you would compete for the 6 quotas that allowed you to participate in the continental tournament for hegemony. And your trial this time was divided into 3 main segments. First, all of you will set off from here and head for the border between the outer ring and the inner rind of the glacial mountain range, during which no internal fighting is allowed. Second, after arriving, you can freely form teams and complete 2 missions each. Those that don't complete them will be eliminated. And third, the remaining people could still form teams freely, and the 6 people who have completed the final mission will be the winners. The content of the missions will be told to you by this old man when arrive at the given locations on the outer and inner rings of the glacial mountain range. Yun Song glanced sharply at the 2 teams and said with a stern warning, "You are allowed to snatch any mission article from anyone in the trial, but you are never allowed to deliberately kill each other. Offenders will be killed without mercy." These trial rules were all set to adapt to the continental tournament for hegemony. Allowing them to form teams was so that the future 6 could adjust to and support each other when they enter the tournament for hegemony and compete with players from other countries. While allowing the trial members to compete with each other was so that they could understand the cruelty of the world and better train their resilience and mind. Yes, everyone replied in unison. Don't be relying on luck. Even the periphery of the glacial mountain range is extremely dangerous. Everything you do should sit on the premise that you are kept alive. Don't force anything. Yun Clan panned the room and emphasized the issue of safety again. The people who sat here were all outstanding among the younger generation of Yinzhou Kingdom. He didn't wish anyone to fall after the trial, and even if it was unavoidable, he hoped to at least minimize the loss. Yes. Early tomorrow morning, the few instructors will lead you all to the border of the outer and inner ring of the glacial mountain range first. Yun Zmo will be the captain of your first segment. You must follow his every command. Do you have any problems with that? Yun Song's look relaxed somewhat as he asked. No. Then dismissed. Go have a good rest. Yes, Imperial teacher. Early the next morning, Lu Muyen and the others left the cave dwelling and hurried towards the outskirts of the glacial mountain range. Along the way, they saw a vast expanse of white surrounding them. The entire forest was dressed in white, and so quiet that there weren't even any sounds of birds. After half a day, the snowflakes gradually fell from the sky, and when it touched one's body or face, it was so cold that it made one shudder. It even hurt. Everyone, use an elemental energy shield. Lan Si stopped in his steps, and a light green circle of light encased his entire body. The falling snowflakes slipped from the circle of light and could no longer get close to their bodies. When other people saw this, they quickly mobilized the elemental energy within them. Then 5 or 6 different colored elemental energy circles of light lit up, forming a scenic view within the vast snowy land. What Lu Muyin mobilized was the fire attribute elemental energy circle of light. She could comprehend all the elements of this land, but the one she was most adept in, and had the deepest comprehension of, was the fire elemental energy. Flakes of snow drifted down petal by petal, and before it could near her, the shield of light would melt it into droplets of water that fell to the floor. This scene also fell into the eyes of many attentive people. There were 3 instructors from the Imperial family that lead the team with Lan Si, with the main lead being a person named Yunji. He scrutinized the mountain not far away. This snow really came at the time wrong. Let's go to that mountain and find a place to rest first. Lan Si and the rest nodded in agreement. Snowflakes such as these that were corrosive shouldn't be allowed to make contact with the skin for long periods of time. Otherwise one would be inflicted with the cold poison. If one wanted to resist, one needed to use their elemental energy circle of light shield to protect their body. But in such a dangerous place, continuously using elemental energy within them not only meant that it would be quickly exhausted, but if one encountered a demonic beast attack, they would all be in danger. The snow fell heavier and heavier, and the energy of the elemental energy circle of light that everyone used to resist the corrosion was constantly being strengthened. Gradually, everyone's strength couldn't match their desire to protect themselves. Luckily, in the last 2 hours, they finally found a big cave on a hillside. Lan Si and Yunai went in first to investigate, and after they came out, they called everyone in. This cave is very deep. We went in for a long time, but we still haven't reached the end. Well, rest here for now, and wait for the heavy snow to recede, then continue on our way. All of you quickly replenish your elemental energy. Lan Si's eyes were deep, without his usual gentle smile, and a rare look of gravity surfaced on his face. Yes. After walking with the elemental energy shield for so long, whether it was the students' physical strength of elemental energy, they were all depleted by a lot. Everyone sat down and began to absorb the spiritual force of heaven and earth to replenish themselves. Lan Si and the 6 other instructors left 2 of them to guard against emergencies at the front and the back, and recovered their elemental energy in rotation. After sitting down, Lu Muyin raised her head and looked deeply at the cave that she could see no end to, and an ominous feeling rose in her heart without warning. She didn't sit cross-legged like the rest to enter a state and absorb spiritual force to replenish her elemental energy, but instead directly took out the candy from Lan Si and threw them into her mouth in one breath. Then she telepathically told Lu Mu Bai to also eat the candy first to replenish their elemental energy. When the sweet scent of the candy pill spread, the others noticed the actions of the brother and sister. Lan Si couldn't help but twitch the corner of his lips. Did this brother and sister pair seriously take what he gave them as candy? The Imperial Academy students all knew what the candy was, and they looked at them with eyes that expressed "my flesh hurt one." What prodigals? Forget about Lu Muyin, the prodigal girl acting crazy. Why was Lu Mu Bai also following in the nonsense? These things should naturally be used during a critical time. It was just a waste to eat it now. Of course, in a while, they wouldn't think this way, and they would all regret how they didn't imitate the brother and sister pair. The members of the Imperial family also noticed the actions of the brother and sister pair. Although they didn't understand, they didn't think about it so as not to be distracted, and soon entered the cultivation recovery mode. After Lu Muyin finished eating the candy, the elemental energy in her body was quickly replenished. There wasn't any need to recover using meditation, so she stood up and walked to the edge of the cave, grabbed a handful of dirt and smelled it. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. This behavior made Lan Si very curious. He looked at Lu Muyin distractedly while meditating and asked, Lu Muyin, what are you smelling? You can't eat this kind of dirt. Lu Muyin rolled her eyes at Lan Si. With which eye did he see her wanting to eat this dirt? But since they were all locusts connected by one thread too, she still reminded them as if intentionally, yet also unintentionally. Teacher, you didn't notice any peculiar smell in this cave? Peculiar smell? Lan Si was surprised, then sniffed around everywhere, and gradually also felt that something was wrong. Lu Muyen, just what's the matter with you? Not only did you not take a good rest, and instead wasted all the candy used to replenish elemental energy that Teacher Lan gave, but you also go and sniff some dirt? Where's the peculiar smell in here? I think you're just bored and looking for trouble. You don't need to rest, but don't affect other people recovering their elemental energy. Hu Fei, also an instructor from the Imperial Academy, looked at Lu Muyen unhappily. There was nothing but provocation in his words. The moment his voice fell, a few students that were meditating and recovering opened their eyes and looked at Lu Muyen in disgust. They really questioned just how this trash was chosen to participate in the trial. They really wanted to throw her out, but considering Lu Mubei's face, they were barely able to resist cursing at her. Am I affecting others? All I was doing was smelling some dirt. What did it have to do with you? Instead, instructor must be deliberately trying to affect the Imperial team's recovery by reprimanding so loudly. Lu Muyen leaned against the wall of the cave, raised an eyebrow and continued. After all, if we met danger, our students all have the candy that Teacher Lan distributed before to replenish our elemental energy, while the members of the Imperial family. She only spoke half the sentence, but her meaning was evident. You can incite disharmony, this old mother three of yours can too. Lu Muyen sneered in her heart. She could now dare conclude that this man surnamed, who was just purely against her. The hostility was just too obvious. Hu Fei didn't expect Lu Muyen to counterattack him, and his face was black with anger. Then he finally raised his hand and pointed at Lu Muyen, saying, "So this is your attitude towards a teacher?" Lu Muyen looked at his outstretched finger coldly. She hated others pointing at her the most. The corners of her lips rose into a careless and casual smile that carried with it a sense of ridicule. Is there any problem with my attitude towards a teacher? A teacher worthy of my respect, I naturally will respect. As for those like teacher who have bad intentions, forgive me for I don't dare to praise. Even if I'm the Imperial Academy student, I really can't stand it anymore. After all, right now we still have to participate in the first round of the examination with the members of the Imperial family, no? Hu Fei really didn't expect Lu Muyen to argue so tediously and vexatiously. Seeing that one of the instructors from the Imperial family cast a suspicious and unhappy gaze on him, he almost collapsed from being angered. To explain wasn't a good idea, yet not to explain was also not a good idea. Enough! Is it time for a quarrel right now? Yun Ji was the eldest, and he immediately scolded them upon seeing their quarrel intensify. Then he looked at Hu Fei with a faint dislike in his eyes. Hu Fei, why are you, as an instructor, seizing onto a little girl and not letting go? She only smelled the dirt. How could it affect the recovery of the others? In fact, you being so loud just now made it appear as if it was on purpose. Yun Ji didn't like Hu Fei from their first encounter. This person harbored evil intentions. That was his judgment of Hu Fei. As for his feelings towards Lu Muyen, he wasn't like the rest that looked at her with colored eyes for. Not to mention the order that the Imperial teacher gave him before coming. So he naturally was biased towards Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen glanced at Yun Jin in surprise, a little curious that this person didn't actually blame her, but instead helped her. Hu Fei was so angered he almost got a crooked nose. Yun Ji actually humiliated him, like this, using his identity as one of the leaders of this team. He noted down this grudge. 1-inch case people forgot, flesh/meat. Forgot which one I used previously. Hurt figuratively means that them being so wasteful and luxurious hurts them, as if they were cutting off a piece of their own meat, lol. Too figuratively means they're in this together. No idea how that originated. 3 arrogant way of referring to oneself by females. For like wearing colored glasses, means someone who is prejudiced. So in this case, he didn't look at her in a prejudiced way like the others. Yun Ji's warning caused Hu Fei to temporarily shut his mouth. Lu Muyen also stopped talking, but continued to walk a few steps, then squat down to scrutinize the cave wall. Even though her behavior made others feel she had a problem, There weren't any voices that questioned her anymore, and they all calmed down to recover. Lu Muyin looked at the tiny crawl marks on the cave wall, and a trace of understanding and fear surfaced in her eyes. She quickly got up and walked to Lan Si's side and said, "Teacher, this cave's dangerous. Let's leave quickly." Lan Si looked up at Lu Muyin, unsure of whether to cry or laugh, and asked, "Really? Where do you see it?" Then thought to himself, "Oh, little grandaunt, can you just be quiet for a while? Don't you see that most of the other students want to throw you out?" Pfft. Yun-ge snorted, opened her eyes with a look of disgust. "Lu Muyin, you don't need to exaggerate to scare just to attract Qi Xian's attention, do you? This cave is so quiet, there's nothing strange at all. Where is there any danger? If you're as afraid as a mouse, then get out and stop affecting us recovering our elemental energy. Otherwise, even if you're Lu Mu Bei's younger sister, I'll personally take care of you." As soon as Yun-ge's voice fell, an icy pressure spread in the cave. Lu Mu Bei stood up and walked beside Lu Muyin. There was a chill in his eyes that looked at Yun-ge, and his voice was cold and oppressive. "Say that again." Yun-ge was an advanced phase sword spirit, so at this time, beneath Lu Mu Bei's pressure, she felt her heart tremble. She gritted her teeth and glared at Lu Mu Bei, saying stubbornly, "It's your younger sister that's looking for a sense of existence. You being partial towards her is only hurting her, not helping her. I'm right." The coldness in Lu Mu Bei's eyes gradually deepened. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and a killing intent was inadvertently revealed, which caused Yun-ge to feel a sense of fear in her heart for no reason. Suddenly a domineering golden light flashed by. Jihan Su stood in front of Yun-ge and temporarily resolved the murderous pressure. He toughened his skin and said with a smile, "Mu Bai, Yun-ge doesn't have any malicious intent either, so there's no need for you to argue with a little girl like her." But he scolded Lu Muyin in his heart. This woman really was a troublemaker. She could cause a fight wherever she went. Of course, Jihan Su was also very angry at his betrothed, Yun-ge. If it weren't because if she got into trouble, he would too. He didn't want to step out and face Lu Mu Bai. At this time, all those that were meditating couldn't continue to concentrate on recovering either, and most people cast unhappy gazes at Lu Muyin. This woman really was someone that held them back. Lu Mu Bai glanced at Jihan Su lightly and spit out a word coldly. "Move." Jihan's anger only grew. He was cautious of Lu Mu Bai, but it didn't mean he was afraid of him. So he stood up straight and said, "If you want to go over, then pass me first." A coldness condensed on Lu Mu Bei's gentle and handsome face. When he was about to move, Lu Muyin suddenly grabbed his arm from behind and took a step back. He looked at her in confusion. Lu Muyin's gaze was transfixed on the endless cave side and said, "It's coming." No one understood her behavior, let alone what she meant by "it's coming." "Quickly step back, be careful." Lan Si shouted suddenly, stretched out both his hands and sucked hard. The two students who were sitting near the side of the cave was grabbed by him. Immediately, everyone could only hear countless hiss sounds resounding in the cave, making people's scalp numb. But before anyone could react, they saw countless small blue serpents that were as thick as one's arm slither out of the endless cave and towards them swiftly. "Ice-kite serpents, it's the ice-kite serpent!" Someone in the group of students suddenly exclaimed. The others all took out their own magic tools and held them in their hands with seriousness. Ice-kite serpents were social demonic beasts. The moment it appeared, it would be in the hundreds to thousands, and there could even be a high-level ice-kite serpent king. They didn't expect that after only just stepping foot in the glacial mountain ranges peripheral, they'd encounter this kind of trouble. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, calm down. This is also a test for everyone. Yun-ji said with furrowed his brows as he looked at the chaotic crowd. Currently, Lu Muyin's eyes weren't on the ice-kite serpents that were slithering towards them, but instead continued to stare at the depths of the cave with emotions that others couldn't understand. Lu Muyin squinted at Mo Yen on her shoulder and twitched the corners of her mouth. "You want me to go kill the Tier 5 ice-kite serpent king in the cave?" A determination to win flashed across Mo Yan's eyes, and he telepathically replied, "Its demonic beast crystal core is useful to me." Do you think that with my current cultivation base, I can pass through tens of thousands of ice-kite serpents ranging from Tier 2 to Tier 4, and rush in alone to kill the ice-kite serpent king for you? Lu Muyen rolled her eyes. You must still be asleep. Don't you have a kind of powder that can paralyze demonic beasts for a short period of time? It should be easy to deal with these little serpents, right? I'll help you after we rush in. Mo Yan's voice carried with it a sense of certainty. Lu Muyen took a breath. This damned spirit pet, just who was the master? But towards Mo Yan's proposal, she felt a little tempted. But let these people suffer a bit before we take action. Perfect to help us share some burdens. Mo Yan sneered. He definitely hadn't forgotten how these people belittled Lu Muyen just now. The master he had temporarily recognized wasn't someone anyone could bully. Lu Muyen nodded in agreement. The reason why she was too lazy to argue with Yun Ge just now was because she had discovered that the serpents at the depths of this cave had awakened because of their aura. Now she'll just let these elites of the empire to have a taste of the ice-kite serpents first. She wasn't a bad person, nor a villain, but she definitely wasn't a good person either. It was only acceptable to punish them a little. Besides, with her current cultivation base, it was indeed difficult for her, even if she wanted to deal with all the ice-kite serpents. Lan Si held a thin, translucent green sword and swung a few times at the serpents that had crawled over. Several aggressive sword auras with dense pressure swept towards them. The hundreds of ice-kite serpents in the front 2 rows were chopped into numerous pieces. Yun Zmo also commanded the others to kill the ice-kite serpents that approached them. Right now, everyone just wanted to get out of the cave as soon as possible, but no one thought that, before they could even approach the exit, the same hiss sound sounded. No one knew from where another group of ice-kite serpents slithered out and blocked the exit completely. Lan Si waved the longsword in his hand and recalled Lu Muyen's unusual state after entering the cave. So it seemed that she used the fastest way to restore her elemental energy because she felt danger. When he remembered her act of smelling the dirt, he couldn't help but sigh within that Lu Muyen's nose was just so good. He looked around at the serpents that circled them in all directions and couldn't help but ask, Lu Muyen, what do you think we should do? Do cold food with dressing one. So now they knew to ask her for her opinion. What about when she asked them to leave the cave as soon as possible? Didn't one by one they told her to get out? Lan Si was speechless for a moment. Lu Muyen's temperament really was rather strong, but he could understand it. The moment she mentioned that something smelled weird, he felt that something was wrong in this cave too. When she asked to leave, he was confused and was about to ask for the reason, but who knew that it would be interrupted by Hu Fei and Yun Ge? In fact, he was also rather wronged. He really didn't doubt Lu Muyen was acting foolishly. At this time, many people also remembered what occurred before. Although they still wondered why Lu Muyen knew that there were dangers hidden in this cave. But more people were blaming Hu Fei and Yun Ge for being meddlesome. If they hadn't stepped out and delayed time, then they wouldn't be besieged by this huge number of serpents right now. Okay, I tried haha. In Chinese, there's a common way to answer someone when they ask, what should we do? Zinmi Ban. If you want to answer in a non-serious way, bickering way, and or a sarcastic way, you'd answer with something along the lines of dress cold food with sauce, Liang Ban. Especially if you don't know the answer to the question to begin with. It's probably used because ban and ban sound exactly the same, just spelt differently and mean different things. So they chose that commonality and someone I guess just randomly used that word one day and it was made popular. It makes no sense, but that's the point I guess. There is one more meaning behind it though. To ignore the situation/problem. Which actually makes the word rather suiting, because it means cold. And I guess it's also like saying to give the situation/problem the cold shoulder. Could also be used to describe desolation, disappointment, heart-sinking, etc. Take with that information what you will ha. That's just my understanding based on years of hearing and reading that word, and a brief Baidu search with Chinese answers while translating XD. Oops, sorry for being a few minutes late. That's on me and my poor time management skills. Chapter 78. Battle the Ice-Krite Serpent King, hiss hiss. The entire cave was surrounded by a huge amount of ice-krite serpents that flicked their forked tongues. Lu Muyen took out the golden long whip and whipped the serpents that closed in on her from time to time. She used her silk mist steps to maneuver around and secretly stuffed small paper bags with powdered drugs to Lu Mu Bai, Yun Lan and the rest. In a moment, scatter the powder on the surrounding snakes. They'll temporarily lose their ability to move, and they'll be frozen. Seeing the countless casualties among the serpents on the ground, she telepathically spoke to them in secret. The people were surprised after receiving her telepathic words, but they held the powder she gave them tightly in their hands and prepared to move at the right moment. Elder brother, I'm going into the cave for a while, help cover for me. Lu Muyen moved beside Lu Mu Bai and telepathically told him. Lu Mu Bai swung his sword to kill the serpents that attacked while furrowing his brows and said disapprovingly, "What are you doing going deeper in? It's dangerous down there. Or I'll go with you." Elder brother, I'm well aware of the situation. Just help cover for me, I'll be back soon. Lu Muyan's eyes were firm. She couldn't always rely on others when encountering difficulties. Not to mention she had a way to deal with the Serpent King. Lu Mu Bai felt uneasy, but he also understood the nature of his younger sister. No one could stop what she set her mind on doing. After swinging his sword to clear out a portion of the obstacles, he said, "Go, but you must be careful. If you're not out in an hour, then I'll go in to look for you." "All right." After receiving Lu Mu Bai's approval, Lu Muyen tapped her foot and moved towards the inside of the cave quietly when others weren't paying attention. Under Mo Yan's deliberate release of pressure, the low-level ice-krite serpents gave way, and in only moments, she had arrived deeper into the cave. And her action also fell in the eyes of Lan Si and Yun Zmo, but the two didn't stop her nor say anything about it. After taking a silent look, they retrieved their gaze and continued to kill the overwhelming serpents. The cave was completely dark, and the walls were slippery. After she left the crowd completely, she took out a night luminous pearl from her interspatial ring, which instantly illuminated 10 meters of her surroundings. She walked forward cautiously as Mo Yin stood on her shoulder, directing her into a long, narrow passage. The ice-krite serpent king's at the end of the passage. I don't know what secret skill it used to cover up the fluctuations of a demonic beast and its aura, but that's why the rest of you didn't discover the serpent nest and its existence. In a bit, I'll mobilize my innate talent and use the king-class demonic beast's pressure to temporarily trap it. You take the opportunity to kill it. Mo Yin moved his deep back eyes, and his tone carried with it an inherent domineering attitude and self-confidence. Lu Muyen halted. She mobilized the spiritual energy within her, bit her right index finger until it bled, and flicked towards the void. 4 drops of blood rose in the sky. Then she stretched out her hand to draw 4 talisman incantations with dense spiritual energy in the void. Only then did she carefully leapt into the cave. As soon as she felt her feet land on the ground by the cave, a sudden extremely cold icicle shot straight towards her. Lu Muyen was vigilant throughout, so the moment she landed, she quickly utilized her silk mist steps to maneuver around. The chilling icicle just shot past her shoulder and embedded into the wall behind her, smashing out a hole. She moved a few steps again and stood on a relatively safe high rock. When she raised her eyes, she met a pair of cold serpent eyes. The huge body of the serpent opposite her was coiled on a huge ice pillar. Its whole body was icy blue, and its scales glowed with chillingly light. It flicked its forked tongue and stared at Mo Yin on Lu Muyan's shoulder greedily. Seeing the ice-krite serpent king stare at Mo Yin as if watching its prey, Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow, smiled and said, "Mo Yin, it's treating you as if you're dinner." There was no shortage of gloating in her tone. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Mo Yin glanced at the woman that was smiling like a flower, turned his head and snorted coldly. Is something like that guy worthy? Hiss hiss. Hearing the open conversation between the one human and one beast, the ice-krite serpent king raised its head and hissed, completely angered. It discovered that a group of humans had arrived in its territory earlier, so it decided that when the time was right, it would release all the serpents to attack. It initially wanted to wait for the humans to be bitten to death before going out and swallowing it into its stomach to refine them, but it didn't expect that there would be a weak human who would break in first. The most important thing was that on the shoulder of this weak person, there was a mysterious demonic beast that resembled a fire cloud mink. Yet it made it feel as if its energy and blood inflated, and a thirst for it was birthed spontaneously. There was a voice in its heart that kept telling it that as long as it swallowed and refined the little white beast opposite, it would be able to break through to a tier 6 demonic beast. That extreme desire caused the ice-kite serpent to hiss a few times, opened its mouth, and spat out dozens of ice arrows that contained dual elemental attributes towards Lu Muyen. It wanted to kill the one human and one beast before it and devour them. Lu Muyen darted away and maneuvered around the ice cave ceaselessly. Because of the difference in their cultivation levels, not to mention the ice-kite serpent king owned the dual attributes of ice and water, she could only put in all her effort to barely avoid the ice arrows that constantly shot towards her and prevent herself from being injured. Mo Yin leapt off Lu Muyan's shoulder. His body suddenly enlarged from the size of a palm to at least more than a meter long before stopping. He roared violently towards the ice-kite serpent. Roar! A deafening roar echoed in the huge ice cave. Mo Yin integrated a kind of soul attack type innate talent into the roar. The pressure that belonged to a king-class demonic beast stacked on top of each other, and like the explosion of a mountain torrent, rolled towards the ice-kite serpent king. Lu Muyen also avoided the last ice arrow at that moment. She muttered a few sentences, waved her hand casually, and 4 void talismans that carried spiritual energy rose into the air, taking the opportunity to surround the ice-kite serpent while it was stunned by Mo Yan's roar. Hiss hiss. The pressure caused the ice-kite serpent to shudder from the bottom of his heart. Its demonic soul within its Yafu trembled slightly, and it raised its head in pain as it hissed a few times. Although Mo Yen was able to use his innate talent, but because his cultivation base was only at the strength of a tier 3 demonic beast, the same level as Lu Muyen, so the period of time that he was able to utilize his innate talent was relatively short. There was only one chance. When the pressure that wound around its Yaofu and demonic soul gradually dissipated, the ice-kite serpent king was completely angered with some fear. A trace of scarlet rose in its ice-cold serpent eyes. Seeing that the demonic beast that was at least 1 meter long on the ground had returned to the size of a palm, the serpent king felt disdain towards it. So what if it was a king-class demonic beast? Now the opponent's strength wasn't even comparable to itself from a middle-class demonic clan. The greedy color and fierce light in its eyes grew thicker. It definitely must swallow its opponent and refine its demonic core. Maybe it wouldn't only advance to a tier 6 demonic beast, it could also be able to reach tier 7 or tier 8. Just thinking about it dilated its pores in excitement, extremely transparent. Lu Muyen sneered. The Serpent King opposite her would have to pay the price for underestimating her right now. She created 16 Taoist seals in the air and inserted them into the 4 void talismans one by one. 4 symbols, 1 killing array condense. Lu Muyen exclaimed lightly. The 6 Taoist seals echoed in collaboration with each other, and with the 4 void talismans, they connected to form a long, transparent ribbon talisman incantation, which perfectly wrapped around the thick body of the Ice-Kite Serpent King. The Ice-Kite Serpent King felt an external force restrain its body. With a look, he discovered it was that weak human woman that was causing trouble. It moved its head a little and didn't place much importance to her, then opened its ferocious mouth and bit towards Mo Yen on the ground. Lu Muyen curled the corners of her lips and spit out a word coldly. Explode. The 4 symbols refers to the 4 guardian beasts or 4 gods, or 4 auspicious beasts, aka Black Tortoise of the North, Azure Dragon of the East, Vermilion Bird of the South, and White Tiger of the West. Also aka Genbu, Sairyu Suzaku and Byako. Chapter 79, Kill Explode. Lu Muyan's cold voice fell, and one of the characters on the ribbon-like talisman incantation that wound around the Ice-Kite Serpent King leapt out and transformed into a transparent cyan dragon with dense spiritual energy, that whistled out and plunged directly into the Ice-Krite Serpent King's heart. The huge mouth of the Ice-Krite Serpent King halted above Emoyen's head, and its eyes instantly turned bloodshot. Suddenly, its body limped, and it collapsed onto the ice-cold floor heavily. It curled into a ball as if it was in extreme pain. But it wasn't over. If one listened carefully, there was actually a muffled sound that resounded from within the Ice-Krite Serpent's body, like firecrackers that had been lit. Hiss hiss. The Ice-Krite Serpent King moved in pain, and hovered above the giant ice pillar, hitting the icicle continuously from head to tail. Its internal organs were slowly being corroded by the spiritual energy talisman dragon, which then exploded in its body. Its strong impacts and struggles made the originally stable cave be on the verge of collapse as pieces of ice and rock fell. Lu Muyen narrowed her eyes, stretched out 2 fingers and drew in the air again. A flash of white spiritual energy once again penetrated into the body of the Ice-Krite Serpent's body. Then it finally fell heavily from the giant pillar and hit the ground again. When the dragon talisman burrowed itself into the Yaofu of the Ice-Krite Serpent King and tore the serpent's demonic soul out from its body, the Ice-Krite Serpent King's body completely stopped struggling, and it laid quietly on the ground without a single breath left in it. Lu Muyen waved her hand and the half-Cun, long one transparent talisman dragon cheerfully flew over, holding the Ice-Krite Serpent King's demonic soul, and landed on her hand. She smiled softly, then the talisman dragon disappeared into her body, while the demonic soul was trapped within a new spiritual talisman that she drew. This is useful to you? Lu Muyen threw the transparent ball that imprisoned the Ice-Krite Serpent King's demonic soul to Emoyen. Emoyen opened his mouth and swallowed the demonic soul of the Ice-Krite Serpent. The spiritual talisman drawn by Lu Muyen was also broken in his mouth. Lu Muyen took a few steps forward and nodded with satisfaction as she looked at the intact Ice-Krite Serpent King corpse. It would be more appropriate for this corpse to be taken back to Huashao to be refined into a few magic tools that shed gift to her family. Although the corpse of the flame unicorn beast was tier 6, but no one except her in the Lu clan had comprehended the fire elemental energy attribute, so the magic tools refined from the flame unicorn beast's scales weren't suitable for them. She took out a dagger from her interspatial ring and directly inserted it into the Ice-Krite Serpent's head. Then she channeled her elemental energy to crack it open, and with a grab, 2 blue crystal cores, one deep, one light, landed in her hand. Who expected that the talent of the Ice-Krite Serpent King wasn't that bad? It actually condensed 2 crystal cores of different attributes. Luckily, it only recently advanced to tier 5 demonic beast. Otherwise, we would have to use some of our trump cards to kill it today. Lu Muyen played with the crystal core in her hand and raised an eyebrow at Emoyen. Emoyen didn't even glance at the corpse on the ground and jumped directly onto Lu Muyen's shoulder. His voice was cold as usual. You still have some trump cards? He also went to watch the Academy's grand competition that Lu Muyen participated in last time. Her strength was unexpected, and her combat power was extraordinary. It truly did give him a little surprise that day, but he didn't expect that he still underestimated this woman. Today, he hadn't even seen the methods that Lu Muyen used to kill the Ice-Krite Serpent King before, even when he was at the peak of his strength. With such methods, it would even make him cautious and fearful if they weren't in a contractual relationship. But when he was already shocked by it, Lu Muyen actually told him that she still had more trump cards. It truly overthrew all that he knew. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Lu Muyen's neat and clean combat mode. And how her proficiency wasn't even inferior to when he was at his peak. Was this really a clan's trash? How could a great sword master cultivation base woman understand so much? Why does a 16-year-old young woman have such rich combat experience and methods? She was like a cloud of mist, and every bit that she displayed wasn't her true self, as if she was looming within layers upon layers of thin veils, making people want to explore and understand even deeper. Lu Muyen utilized her mental energy and put the entire corpse of the Ice-Krite Serpent King into her interspatial ring. She stretched out her hand to poke Emoyen's back and chuckled softly, saying, This glacial mountain range is very dangerous. Maybe you'll see my trump cards soon. Mo Yan's eyes that were as deep and boundless as the sea fluctuated like a whirlpool. Although between him and Lu Muyen, they were under the contract of equals, but their mutual understanding and trust had not yet reached the point where they'd rely on and support each other entirely. He stopped inquiring, just stared down at the 2 crystal cores in Lu Muyen's hand and said, "Give me the 2 crystal cores for refining." "You want to refine it directly?" Lu Muyen glanced around the serpent cave, as if looking for something. "How can I absorb it without refining it directly? As long as I refine these 2 crystal cores, plus the demonic soul I just swallowed, I'll soon be able to break through to Tier 5 strength. When I have time, I'll use these crystal cores to refine a cauldron of pills for you. The effect's much better than refining it directly." "Sure." Mo Yan was still quite convinced by Lu Muyen's alchemy skills. Seeing that Lu Muyen still wasn't leaving, he looked towards the corner of the cave and asked incomprehensibly, "What are you looking for?" "Of course I'm looking for the treasure collected by the Ice-Krite Serpent King. It's been in this glacial mountain range for so many years. It's impossible for it to not have collected the spiritual herbs and spiritual items here." Lu Muyen used the whip to remove an ice stone as she explained to Mo Yan. Mo Yan couldn't help but twitch the corner of his eyes. This woman really didn't let go of anything. Then he said jokingly, "I'm the best at finding spiritual herbs and spiritual items." When Lu Muyen saw that there was nothing under the removed ice stone, she was a little disappointed. But then she suddenly heard Mo Yan's words and couldn't help but knock her head lightly with her knuckle. "That's right. How could I have forgotten you still have that talent?" Seeing Mo Yan lying aloofly on her shoulder, she grabbed him and tossed him out. "Don't just know how to enjoy and not do work. Go find the treasure." Mo Yan turned his head and headed towards the left side of the cave in a bad mood. He had lived for so long, and no one had dared to toss him. Lu Muyen really was the first person, but he didn't dislike such actions, and even a sense of the desire to coddle someone that had never appeared before rose in his heart. He really was being infected by this black-bellied woman. A spirit devourer's sensitivity to spiritual herbs were hundreds of times stronger than Fire Cloud Mink's. He only casually sniffed around and already confirmed the location of the Ice-Krite Serpent's treasure. He stood atop an ice stone that wasn't quite large nor small and said, "The things are placed beneath this ice stone. Come get it yourself." Lu Muyen's eyes lit up, and her stunning little face displayed a gleeful smile. After Mo Yin leapt onto her shoulder again, she waved her whip and smashed the ice stone in half. Sure enough, beneath the stone, she discovered a large hole. She raised the corners of her lips, plunged the whip into the hole skillfully, and with a tug, the treasures that the Ice-Krite Serpent King had prized over the years all entered her interspatial ring. However, due to the time constraints, she didn't investigate it immediately, but instead used her silk mist steps and leapt towards the entrance. After exiting the cave's entrance, she also used her elemental energy to strike down the ice mountain's loose gravel to seal the entrance. After completing all this, she swiftly headed towards the trial teams. Now that the Ice-Krite Serpent King was dead, the commands that controlled the group of serpents would also disappear. With the serpents having no leader, after her eldest brother, and the rest used the powder she gave, she believed that the battle above them would almost be over too. She had to return among them before the battle was over. Chapter 80. Attitude Change. Lu Muyin used silk mist steps at its fastest, and arrived in the cave, where everyone had rested before. The battle wasn't over yet, and at this time, piles of Ice-Krite serpent corpses were everywhere. The students were practically exhausted, as they dealt with the last wave of small serpents. She quickly moved to Lu Mu Bei's side, when the others weren't paying attention, and waved her whip to help him behead a wave of small serpents that surrounded him. Lu Mu Bai had taken the candy that was from Lan Si earlier with Lu Mu Yen, so he still had more than half of his elemental energy left, which meant, compared to the others, he had it much easier. Only after seeing his younger sister return safely did his hovering heart gradually fall back into place. Done! Lu Mubai asked Lu Muyen telepathically. Lu Muyen and Lu Mubai killed the last batch of ice kite serpents back to back. Yep, it's done. The battles of the rest were also coming to an end. Several students had practically exhausted their elemental energy, and it was thanks to the help of Lan Si and the several teachers that they could survive the swarm of serpents. When the last ice kite serpent was killed, whether it was the Empire Academy trial students or the Imperial family trial team, most of them were sitting on the ground panting, and many were more or less injured too. Yun Zimo walked straight to Lu Muyen with a touch of complexity in his eyes and asked, "You gave them those powdered drugs? So what if it's me?" Lu Muyen knew that Yun Zimo and Lan Si had both noticed that she had left earlier, but she couldn't consider too much at the time. Though, if Yun Zimo mentioned it now, she inevitably would experience some trouble. Yun Zimo's eyes darkened, fell silent, then faintly said, "Nothing." Then he turned directly around and walked not far away to sit and meditate to recover his elemental energy. A sliver of surprise slipped past Lu Muyen's heart. Yun Zimo's brain wasn't ill, was it? But this was fine too. It saved her from having to explain to everyone. Lan Si looked at Yun Zimo thoughtfully, then asked Lu Muyen, "Do you still have the powdered drug?" Hearing Lan Si's question, everyone in their cave cast their gazes towards Lu Muyen, and many people held complex emotions in their eyes. If it weren't for the powder that Lu Mubai and the others scattered that temporarily paralyzed those waves of Tier 3 and 4 ice kite serpents, they could still be fighting bitterly right now, or there could have even been some casualties. The powdered drug's effect was truly strong. Putting the fact that it was useful against Tier 4 demonic beasts aside, it could even be used in group attacks. If everyone carried some on them, next time, even if they encountered a group of demonic beast attacks, they'd still have confidence in escaping. There are still some more. Lu Muyen didn't hesitate and took out a part of the powdered drug she had in her interspatial ring and gave it to Lan Si. Since knowing that she was coming to the glacial mountain range, she had equipped herself with a lot of sleeping powder that she refined. Now that Lan Si asked for it for the other students, she would still give him this face. What's more, in the first segment where everyone traveled together, they would experience both glory and loss as one. Lan Si nodded with a smile. "Thank you. I'll report to the principal to compensate you after returning to the Empire." "No need." Lu Muyen smiled indifferently. These powders weren't worth a lot of money, so they might as well be used to buy people's hearts. Lan Si raised his eyebrow and with a gentle smile again. "Young Miss Lu sure is generous. Then we won't be courteous." Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him and cursed secretly. "Fox." Lan Si asked Ji Xian to redistribute the powdered drug that he obtained from Lu Muyen to everyone who participated in the trial. "Put these powdered drugs away well. There are a lot of demonic beast packs in the glacial mountain range. If you meet them again, this is also a means of saving your life." "Yes," after everyone answered. Some of them even looked at Lu Muyen apologetically. Their previous attitude towards her was too arbitrary. Then Lan Si and the several instructors picked through the piles of ice kite serpent corpses in the cave, dug out their crystal cores, and gave everyone a share. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks only after taking a rest in the cave for the night, when everyone's physical strength and elemental energy returned to their peaks, did Lan Si and Yunji lead them on their way. Along the way, many people's attitudes towards Lu Muyen had changed a lot, and from time to time, some people would even strike up a conversation with her. "We've arrived at the periphery, let's take a break first. Once we enter here, we'll be in the world where Tier 4 demonic beasts roam. Their cultivation base is similar to yours, so be vigilant at all times." When they arrived at a place where green plants grew, fresh flowers intertwined, and a forest that grew vigorously, Lan Si ordered everyone to rest. Not all places in the glacial mountain range were ice mountains. There was only daylight here, but in some places where the sun shone all year round, all seasons were practically like spring. After resting for a while, they continued on their way. Except after only walking for not even 2 hours, they heard some fighting noises and the roaring of demonic beasts in the woods ahead. Lan Si made a stop gesture, exchanged a glance with Yunji, then handed the students over to the several other instructors, before the two leapt in that direction. Lu Muyen looked in that direction and telepathically spoke to Mo Yen. Did the people ahead meet demonic beasts? It wasn't far ahead, and if she spread her mental energy, then she could find out what was happening there. But there was a demonic sense that was super strong, where with one casual sweep, the demonic beast could know what was occurring 1,000 li away, so she naturally knew to put it to good use. A group of humans and a demonic beast pack encountered each other, but it was solved quickly. The strength of that group is much stronger than your group. Mo Yen laid on Lu Muyen's shoulder and replied lazily. Lu Muyen stroked her chin, and the corner of her lips rose into an arc. The group of people ahead should undoubtedly be the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. Not long after, Lan Si sent a signal to continue ahead, so Ji Xian rushed over with everyone. After passing through the woods, one saw many Tier 3 and 4 demonic beast corpses lying in the open ground. There were some people sitting separately on clean grass, and they appeared to be a small team. You guys come to rest as well for a bit. Lan Si pointed to a clean, open space to let the students of Yanzhou Kingdom rest, while he himself stood with 2 middle-aged men to chat, seeming to be acquaintances. Lu Muyen swept the 2 groups of people, and a smile rose in her eyes, but she didn't take the initiative to step forward. When she walked to the place Lan Si designated, and just as she was about to sit, there was a sound of surprise that entered her ears. Muyen. When Yi Qinghan sat in his place to rest, he had heard that the students who participated in the trial competition from Yanzhou Kingdom also came. He only thought to glance over casually, but didn't expect to see the beautiful, otherworldly, white-clothed woman in the crowd. Lu Muyen stopped in her steps, turned her head and smiled charmingly. Qinghan. The familiar greeting between the two surprised everyone in the woods, especially the few women who had been sitting in the clearing, as they looked at Lu Muyen with dislike in their eyes. Yi Qingyan patted the young woman beside him. Then they stood up and walked towards Lu Muyen. Muyen, long time no see. Yi Qingyan was still dressed in his dark patterned black robe with a rare smile on his handsome face. Lu Muyen nodded, her eyes dyed with a smile. Long time no see. Elder brother. Is she the elder sister Muyen you spoke of? The sweet-looking and petite girl who stood beside Yi Qinghan asked with a smile. Yes, she's Lu Muyen. Yi Qinghan's voice carried a bit of pampering, then introduced to Lu Muyen. Muyen, this is my little sister, Yi Qingle. Elder sister Muyen, you're so beautiful. Yi Qingle blinked at Lu Muyen with a natural familiarity. She didn't know why, but just like this woman, that her elder brother spoke of constantly, at first glance. Qinglu is also very beautiful. Lu Muyen nodded and smiled cordially. The friendliness of the girl opposite her didn't appear to be fake, so a sense of intimacy was also birthed unconsciously in Lu Muyen's heart. Perhaps this was simply fate. Chapter 81. The Yi clan's brother and sister Yi Qinghan was relatively humble, but there was a sense of distance towards everyone. It was difficult to see him reveal a smile from the bottom of his heart to anyone. Yi Qingle, the little princess of the Yi family, had a very lively and cheerful appearance, but she rarely truly approved of anyone. No one had ever seen her display the intimacy that she did today towards anyone. Many people were puzzled by the attitude of the Yi clan's brother and sister towards Lu Muyen. Those who didn't know Lu Muyen's identity were all wondering who she was. It was the first time for Xue Ling and Xening Xian to see Yi Qinghan display such a gentle side to a woman. In particular, the joy and warm color in his eyes pricked their eyes. Xening Xian had already found out Lu Muyen's identity before. From her point of view, this woman was just a fallen noble. The only thing that made her fear was the mysterious master behind Lu Muyen. Originally, she wanted to immediately get rid of Lu Muyen, but the other party had the marrow cleansing pill. After the superiors of the 10 distinguished clans received this news, the moment this trial ended, they would definitely go to Yanzhou Kingdom to discuss this matter. The elder of her clan also warned her not to make a move without permission and lose a great opportunity, because of something small. Xianing Xian's eyes were grim. After she was warned by the clan, she decided to temporarily let Lu Muyan go and wait for the Xiang clan to obtain the marrow cleansing pill first before killing her. But now looking at Yi Qinghan's attitude towards Lu Muyan, her heart was burning with jealousy. She just wanted to rush up and scratch open that gorgeous face of hers completely. Elder brother Mu Bai Muyan. At this time, several people from the Ling clan also walked over from another direction. The leader was a red-haired young man and a gentle woman in plain clothes. Fei Hao Fei Li. A warm color flashed across Lu Mu Bei's eyes. Lu Muyan also smiled and addressed, elder cousin brother, elder cousin sister. The two of them were precisely the most promising of the younger generation in the Ling clan, Ling Fei Hao and Ling Fei Li. They were Lu Muyan's second uncle and third uncle's child respectively. They were 2 years older than her, and they treated her fairly nicely. Towards the rest that followed the two, Lu Muyan didn't have a strong impression. She supposed that they were the pupils of the Ling clan, who just came to participate in the selection trial, and wasn't from the main bloodline. Only when they saw Ling Fei Hao and Ling Fei Li greet Lu Muyan did many talents of the 10 distinguished clans realize her identity. But they still wondered how Yi Qinghan and Lu Muyan met. The relationship between the two was obviously not shallow. I've long heard my maternal grandfather say that Muyan's terminal meridian's constitution had been eradicated. But it was unexpected that we'd meet in this trial. I hope we can participate in the continental tournament for hegemony together. Ling Fei Hao's sunny and energetic face revealed a lovely dimple. Ling Fei Li beside him glared at him. Well, speak of these matters in private. This little boy spoke regardless of occasion. Didn't he see everyone's eyes were cast on them? Let's find a place to have a conversation first. Ling Fei Hao was just too excited to see the Lu brother and sister, so now that he had calmed down he proposed. Lu Mu Bai nodded and smiled gently at the Yi clan's brother and sister. Mu Yan, you should accompany your friends and have chat. He could see that Yi Qinghan was looking for Lu Muyan for something, although he didn't know how they met. But as long as the other party wasn't malicious, then it was fine. All right. I'll chat a little with Qinghan and Qinglu. Eldest brother, you guys talk first. Then, Lu Mu Bai and the people from the Ling clan walked to a distant grassy area to sit and chat, while Lu Muyan's arm was wrapped around by Qingles and was pulled under a large tree not far away. Yi Qinghan erected an elemental energy soundproof barrier. Seeing Yi Qinghan's hesitate in speaking, Lu Muyan understood. She took Qingles' hand to take her pulse. Let me take a look at Qingles' body first. Yi Qinglu was plagued by years of disease, and this time, it was because she had taken a pill the clan's alchemist had refined that could temporarily suppress the fetal poison, that she could follow into the glacial mountain range. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks she had long heard from her elder brother and old Lu, that Lu Muyan had excelling medical skills. Elder brother had even successfully advanced to the Sword King stage, because he took the marrow cleansing pill that Lu Muyan gifted. So she had long wanted to see the woman they constantly spoke of. Sure enough, she didn't disappoint at first glance today. She had a good impression of this woman, who was only a year older than herself. Now that Lu Muyan wanted to check her pulse for her illness, she relaxed her body and allowed her to check. After changing Yi Qingles' hand, and continued to check her pulse, Lu Muyan's brows furrowed together slightly. Then after a while, she let go and fell into deep contemplation. Muyan, how is it? Can Qingles' poison be cured? Seeing Lu Muyan furrow her brows, worry couldn't help but rise from Yi Qinghan's heart. Yi Qinglu was more optimistic. Since she was a child, she knew that she might not live past 20 years old. So this time she begged the superiors in the clan to allow her to follow her elder brother to experience the outside world. Elder sister Muyan, I've been living with this chronic illness for years. If there's no solution, then it's also normal. Lu Muyan was just thinking deeply about how to cure Yi Qingles' poison. Yet who knew that it caused a misunderstanding from the two? She smiled back and said, although the fetal poison in your body is deep, but it hasn't corroded to the internal organs yet. As long as you cure it within a year, then it'll be fine. If we drag the time longer than a year, the fetal poison flowing in your blood will slowly corrode your internal organs, and by then it'll be more troublesome. Then you mean Qing Lu could still be saved now? A light burst from Yi Qing Han's eyes. Yi Qing Lu froze, and a look of hope rose in her eyes as she stared at Lu Muyen, waiting for her answer. Although she had a cheerful and optimistic temperament, but every time the fetal poison erupted within her, she always had the urge to commit suicide. If it weren't for her family, then she would have long been unable to continue to live. Now, if there was a way to completely eradicate the poison from within her body, then it would be the best result for her and her family. Yes, she can be saved. But because the poison had already blended with her blood, it'll be a bit troublesome to deal with. I still need to refine an antidote pill to be used together with the golden needle treatment. Lu Muyen paused, then added, "It's just that I think the treatment should be postponed until after this trial is over." Yi Qing's fetal poison wasn't difficult to solve, it was just troublesome to handle. During the treatment, it also required her to treat Yi Qing Lu with needles every day for a month. In the glacial mountain range, they would separate immediately to complete their own trials, so she couldn't be treated. No hurry. I've been like this for so many years, I don't care about waiting a little more. Yi Qing Lu was happy. She didn't expect that Lu Muyen really had a way to treat the fetal poison in her body. This made her feel a sense of hope that had never risen in her heart before. Yi Qing Han also revealed some excitement in his eyes. "Everything's fine as long as it can be cured. Don't worry, I can cure this poison, I promise." Lu Muyen could deeply feel the pain of having a chronic illness. Judging from Yi Qing's fetal poison, she would have an outbreak of intolerable pain almost every 2 months. To be able to live until now and still maintain such an optimistic temperament, it meant that Yi Qing Lu was extremely tough. She admired such a girl very much. Muyen, a mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Yi Qing Han thought for a while, and popped out this sincere sentence. Lu Muyen lowered her head and chuckled, then raised her head and looked at him jokingly. "I still haven't treated Qing Lu yet. Your thanks is too early." "I believe you." Yi Qing Han's handsome, sharp and angular face revealed unconditional trust. Since the time they went to the blazing mountain range together, an inexplicable feeling of trust grew in him towards this woman. "Elder sister Muyen, I believe you too." Yi Qing Lu smiled beautifully, with trust in her eyes. Lu Muyen's eyes were also dyed with a layer of deep warmth. She was very touched by this trust, and was happy from the bottom of her heart. Random note. By the way, anyone reading on the novel website and giving all those 5-star reviews, if any one of you happen to be here, wow, thanks. I'm only the translator, but I guess I'm just genuinely happy to see others enjoying a novel I really love myself. And kudos for reading MTL. That's another world out there. Though I completely understand, if it were me and I really wanted to read a novel in another language I didn't understand, yeah, MTL might be the way. Anyways, made me real happy to see so many people enjoy it even though I'm just translating it. And it's not even my novel, haha. Chapter 82. The 3 men most difficult to approach. Yi Qing Lu and Lu Muyen hit it off at first sight. They laughed and chatted for a while, and both felt as if they've met each other far too late. When Yi Qing Han was about to separate from Lu Muyen, he suddenly leaned close to her ear and whispered, "The glacial mountain range hasn't been peaceful recently. Be careful when you complete your missions. If you meet people outside of Yenzhou Kingdom and the 10 distinguished clans, try your best to avoid them." Lu Muyen revealed confusion in her eyes, but didn't ask more, nodded and said, "All right, you two take care too." Soon, the Yi clan's brother and sister returned to the place where the people of the Yi clan, who participated in the trial, gathered. Lu Muyen also went to where the Ling clan's people were and sat down. "Muyen, you know the brother and sister of the Yi clan?" Ling Feihao turned his eyes then asked curiously. Lu Muyen said with a smile, "Yep, we've had some interactions before. You can actually be so close to them, that's amazing." Ling Feihao raised a thumb up at Lu Muyen, then said in a whisper, "Those 2 siblings are famous for being watertight, and they keep their distance from anyone, especially Yi Qing Han. He's exceptionally difficult to befriend. There's such a thing. Lu Muyan remembered that when she first met Yi Qing Han, he definitely felt distant. But afterwards, when they went to the blazing mountain range, that sense of distance gradually faded, and they even became friends with a bit of tacit understanding. She had never felt that it was difficult to approach Yi Qing Han. Ling Fei Hao leaned towards Lu Muyan and said, "There are 3 people who are considered the most difficult to approach in the 10 distinguished clans. Do you know which 3? Lu Muyan cooperated with Ling Fei Hao in amusement. "I don't know which 3. Yi Qing Han counts as one?" She found that this elder cousin brother of hers was too lively and full of energy. "Yep, Yi Qing Han counts as one, and there's 2 other people. Look over at the group of people sitting across from us." The expressionless man sitting on the very edge, wearing a black brocade robe, is the most highly valued genius of the clan ranked number 1 of the distinguished clans, the Shi clan's one Shi Feng. Ling Fei Hao gestured with his mouth, indicating to the opposite direction. Lu Muyan glanced over with her peripheral vision, and found that the man named Shi Feng was leaning against a big tree alone with his eyes closed, without any expression on his face. But she felt a familiar feeling from him. He's an alchemist. Lu Muyan remembered that this familiar feeling originated from the scent of medicine that exuded from him. So she turned her head and asked Ling Fei Hao. She was exceptionally sensitive to smell. Earlier, when she passed by the area where the Shi clan was, she smelled a light medicinal scent that was from Shi Feng. Of course, the Shi clan is known for their alchemy across Tianling continent. Obviously he's an alchemist. Ling Fei Hao glanced towards Shi Feng, and there was a touch of admiration in his eyes. He's now a grade 3 alchemist. 19 years old and already a grade 3 alchemist. Isn't that amazing? He's known as the first person in the eastern region to have such high levels of mastery in alchemy in many years. Many alchemists have a weird temper, so it's normal if they're hard to interact with. Lu Muyan herself had interacted with many alchemists, so she naturally knew a bit about how some alchemists didn't like to deal with people. They spent all their time indulged in alchemy. The feeling that Shi Feng gave her was as such. This kind of indulgence was different to Hu Xiao's indulgence in smithing. She had seen people like Shi Feng before, and he should be one who truly loved the pleasure and accomplishment when spiritual herbs were successfully refined into pills. They pursued perfection and strived to refine the best pill as their lifelong goal. Ling Fei Hao pursed his lips and said, "It's not just because he's an alchemist, he's just got face paralysis too. His face is expressionless all year round. Basically no one's seen him show any excessive emotions." Lu Muyan smiled speechlessly, considering that to be her acquiescence, then asked, "And the last person?" "And the last person's the man in scarlet clothes sitting not far from your teacher. His name is Mu Yi, and is the young lord of the Mu clan that's ranked 3rd in the 10 distinguished clans. He's also a grade 3 smith. The most important thing is that he's already comprehended 3 different elemental energy attributes already. Although he's only at peak phase Sword King cultivation base. But it's said that he already has the strength to fight a sword monarch." Ling Fei Hao added. Lu Muyan raised her eyes and glanced in Mu Yi's direction. Coincidentally, their eyes met as he lifted his. The 2 looked at each other, then each retrieved their gazes. "That person seems to be smiling all the time. How did you judge that he's difficult to interact with?" "It's precisely because he's smiling all the time that he's hard to interact with. Because he's a smiling tiger who treats everyone with politeness, regardless of who it is. It's a different tune to Yi Qing Han's distance, but with the same results 3. Ling Fei Hao said as he raised an eyebrow. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Muyan looked at him amused. "Elder cousin brother, I realize you're really bored." "Pfft, Muyan, so you realize too. He just studies these boring things every day, and he doesn't listen to us no matter what we say." Ling Fei Li beside him couldn't help but laugh aloud. Ling Fei Hao huffed. "I'm just studying my opponents, you guys don't understand." Lu Muyan and Ling Fei Li exchanged a look, and saw the smile in each other's eyes. However, she did obtain 2 pieces of information from Ling Fei Hao's short gossip, which could be considered a gain. The several people chatted about the Ling clan and the 10 distinguished clans. Then the middle-aged man that was standing with Lan Si suddenly clapped his hands and said, "The trial members of the 10 distinguished clans will gather and set off in a quarter of an hour." Ling Fei Hao revealed a look of reluctance. They had only met for a little bit, and now had to separate again. Lu Mubai patted his shoulder with a light smile. "Fei Hao, this time you need to bring glory to the Ling clan. Maybe we'll meet again within the later parts of the trial." "I will." Hearing Lu Mubei's words, Ling Fei Hao nodded solemnly. The current situation of the Ling clan wasn't really optimistic. He and Ling Fei Li were the main force of the Ling clan's trial this time, and they couldn't make the Ling clan lose face. Lu Muyen thought a bit, then took out a few packets of powdered drugs from her interspatial ring and stuffed them in their hands, saying, "These powdered drugs can deal with the demonic beasts and paralyze them for a few breaths. You can use these at critical times. This is the elemental energy replenishing pill 4, which can quickly replenish your elemental energy when you've depleted it." Then she handed 2 more bottles of elemental energy nourishing pills to the two as well. She believed that as the main targets of training in the 10 distinguished clans, they wouldn't lack pills with these types of effects. However, there's a shortage of alchemists on this continent, and pills were even scarcer. So presumably they wouldn't have a lot on them either. The people of the Ling clan all treated Lu Muyen very well, so this could be considered her returning the favor. "Wow, Muyen, you actually have so many good things." Ling Fei Hao quickly put the things away and said with big smiles, "Your master really is nice to you." Although she saw that he had misunderstood, but Lu Muyen didn't explain. "You just take good hold of it. After the trial ends, you'll go to the Ling clan to visit elder cousin brother Fei Yang." Speaking of Ling Fei Yang, the eyes of the people in the Ling clan unanimously displayed a bit of sadness. If Ling Fei Yang could also participate in the selection trial this time, they believed he definitely would be able to lead them to win a few more places for the competition. "Don't be discouraged. Elder cousin brother Fei Yang will definitely get better. I believe he also hopes to see you all return successfully." Lu Muyen had confidence in curing Ling Fei Yang, but now wasn't a good time to say it. Seeing the few people a little dispirited, she squeezed her fists in encouragement. "Muyen's right. We must do our best to win glory for the Ling clan." Ling Fei Li's delicate face revealed a gentle smile. Then she looked at Lu Muyen and Lu Mubai saying, "You both be careful on your journey. I heard that the trial this time isn't that simple. Take care. You guys take care too." After separating from Ling Fei Hao and the others, Lu Muyen and Lu Mubai returned to where the students of Yinzhou Kingdom were. But before they could sit down, they saw Shifeng walk over. He stood in front of Lu Muyen, looked at her expressionlessly and asked, "You are Lu Muyen from the General's Mansion of Yinzhou Kingdom?" One author typed Feng Clan here, but pretty sure it's a typo lol. Think there were at least another typo somewhere, but yeah, no wonder MTL gets even more mixed up sometimes, hahaha. 2. It's a colloquial description in China, and kind of makes fun of all those cool, cold, expressionless male leads that always appear in dramas lol. In particular used to refer to men who act cool, and usually to make fun of them for pretending to act like that. 3. Pretty straightforward, but it is an idiom that translates literally to different tunes sung with equal skill, aka different approaches, but equally satisfactory results. For the same as spiritual energy replenishing pill. Probably an insignificant note, but yeah, haha. Chapter 83. The start of the trial missions. Lu Muyen watched Shifeng walk over, but she didn't expect that this person would talk to her. Although Shifeng was expressionless, but she could feel that he wasn't hostile. She nodded calmly. "I'm Lu Muyen. Something the matter? I heard that you have a pill called the marrow cleansing pill." Only when Shifeng mentioned pills was there a slight fluctuation in his usually calm eyes. Lu Muyen's expression didn't change. "Yes, but I don't have any more now." "Do you have the pill recipe for the marrow cleansing pill? I can exchange it with you for a high-level grade 3 pill recipe." This was the first time that Shifeng ever mentioned wanting to make such a transaction with anyone. He was very excited when he heard about the efficacy of the marrow cleansing pill. The pill recipe of a pill that had such an effect defying normalcy was something no alchemist could refuse. He didn't know whether Lu Muyen would agree to his proposal or not, but he wanted to give it a try regardless. I don't. The pill recipe of the marrow cleansing pill is in my master's hands. Lu Muyen shrugged and expressed helplessness. Recently, many people desired her marrow cleansing pill, but Shifeng seemed to only be interested in the pill recipe. If it were someone else, they might be tempted by the deal he proposed. After all, it wouldn't be a disadvantage to exchange a grade 2 pill recipe for a grade 3 high-level pill recipe. But in her head, there existed unique pill recipes that don't even exist on this continent. So how could she be tempted by Shifeng's grade 3 pill recipe? Shifeng appeared to have expected it, but he was still a little bit disappointed. He fell silent for a while, then said to Lu Muyen with a calm expression, "If you want to trade in the future, you can come to the Shi clan to find me." All right, Lu Muyen didn't refuse either. Then excuse me, Shifeng said politely before turning to leave. Lu Muyen quickly withdrew her gaze that was on him. This person sure was quite polite. After Shifeng left, she found an empty space and sat down, ignoring the gazes that were cast on her from all directions. She calmly took out a soft and delicious pastry from her interspatial ring to eat. A quarter of an hour later, the trial teams of the 10 distinguished clans quickly gathered and hurried to the boundary between the outer ring and the periphery of the glacial mountain range. Only the people of Yinzhou Kingdom, who participated in the trial, and the demonic beast corpses scattered around remained. Lan Si also returned to the team. He nipped a piece of tea pastry from Lu Muyen and sent it to his moth, then said with a smile, "Lu Muyen, you made these yourself?" "Yeah, it's made with spiritual tea." Lu Muyen didn't know from where Lan Si could tell that the pastries were made by herself, but she didn't conceal it either. "It tastes pretty good." Lan Si took another piece and swallowed it. Lu Muyen guessed that he still had something to say, so she didn't respond, and just smiled faintly. "Aren't you going to break through? It's dangerous after we enter the boundary between the outer ring and the inner ring." Lan Si slowly took out a handkerchief and wiped the corners of his mouth and hands, then tossed it away casually. The handkerchief vanished with the wind without a trace. Lu Muyen pursed her lips. "Maybe during our next rest." The spiritual energy had already reached its peak within her, and her cultivation base had already reached a bottleneck. It was only because it was inconvenient to immediately advance in the glacial mountain range. That's why she had been suppressing her cultivation base. Since Lan Si reminded her so kindly, then she had nothing to hide either. The corners of Lan Si's lips raised, and he didn't say any more. Only after resting for almost 2 hours, and after feeling that the distance between them and the team ahead had lengthened, did he tell everyone to rise and keep going. While on the way, Lu Muyen saw that Yun Lan wanted to talk to her, but was hesitating, so she said first, "Elder cousin brother has something to tell me?" "It's nothing big. I just wanted to ask, you're very familiar with Yi Qing Han?" "Yeah, we can be considered friends." Lu Muyen nodded with a smile. Yun Lan fell silent for a while then said, "Then Muyen, can you help me arrange a battle hymn to exchange pointers?" "Elder cousin brother, why do you insist on exchanging pointers with Yi Qing Han?" Lu Muyen had always been curious as to why Yun Lan wanted to chase after Yi Qing Han so persistently. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, his skill attributes are the same as mine. Every time I finish fighting with him, I'll always have some comprehensions. It just so happens that my current sword skill is at a bottleneck. Yun Lan explained. He wasn't that familiar with Yi Qing Han, and it was only accidental that they fought twice before. If he went to arrange a battle with Yi Qing Han, he feared that he would misunderstand, so he wanted to ask Lu Muyen for help. Lu Muyen smiled in understanding now and said, "So it's like that. Then after the trial I'll help you ask him." Either way, after the trial's over, she needed to go to the Yi clan for a month, so it was fine to take an extra person. Yi Qing Han presumably wouldn't reject either. Alright, then I'll trouble Muyen. Along the way, they encountered countless attacks from demonic beasts, and even a few tier 4 demonic beasts that lead groups, but they were all avoided. Of course, the effect of Lu Muyan's powdered drug took half the credit. They hurried on with their journey, while killing demonic beasts, and 7 days passed. The group of talents arrived at the border between the forest and icy mountains. Lan Si and the other instructors took them to a place at the foot of the icy mountains. There sat a wooden hut, and after entering, a warm current spread towards them. In the middle of the wooden hut, there was a stove, and above the stove rose wisps of steam. There was also a kettle atop of it, and a white-haired old man sat before it. Yin Song. You're all here. Take a seat. Yin Song raised his eyes and nodded to everyone. Lan Si and the few instructors sat down. Then the students all found a random spot to sit. Lu girl, I heard that you have quite good tea-making skills. Come and make a pot. Lu Muyin lowered her eyes, pulled Lu Mubai together to sit beside Yin Song, then said, Yes. Yin Song smiled, took out a box of spiritual tea from his interspatial ring, and handed it to Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen took the spiritual tea, and as soon as she opened the lid, a rich and fragrant smell wafted to her nose. She took a few spoonsful out and started to brew tea. As expected from the imperial teacher of Yinzhou Kingdom, the quality of this spiritual tea was much better than the quality of the tea she obtained from shopkeeper Lu. Lu Muyan's actions that were like moving clouds and flowing water were very pleasing to the eye. Then she listened to Yin Song's order and poured everyone a cup. Yin Song's value of Lu Muyan and his different attitude towards her made most of the other students astounded, and they all reassessed Lu Muyan in their hearts. Yin Song took a sip from his teacup, and his eyes revealed some satisfaction, then said rather slowly towards everyone, Starting today, your trial truly begins. Your first mission. Within 5 days, each of you must go out and kill at least 10 Tier 5 demonic beasts and come back. You can team up to complete the mission, or you can snatch it from other people. But you aren't allowed to kill each other. After 5 days, come here to meet us. If you don't reach the number, you will be eliminated automatically. Then a small team from the Imperial family will escort the eliminated people back to the Imperial capital. Yes, Imperial teacher. Hearing the first task issued, every student participating in the trial here were all feeling ambitious and fervent. By the way, you need to complete this operation alone or in any team. The instructors will no longer accompany you throughout, so pay attention to your own safety. If you die here, then everything will be over for you. I hope that you will all stay alive. Yin Song drank all the tea in the cup and with a serious expression, Rest for a night, and you'll leave early tomorrow morning. Whether you complete the mission or not, 5 days later, before this time report back. We will follow the instructions of the Imperial teacher. Chapter 84. Spiritual Force Body Tempering. After everyone scattered, Lu Muyin greeted Lu Mubai before walking to sit cross-legged atop a large tree with dense foliage, not far from the wooden house. She closed her eyes and the spiritual energy within her body performed a few macrocosmic orbits, placing her whole body and mind in a free and empty state. 1 night was enough for her to advance. Streams of spiritual force came from all directions and quickly entered her body. A faint green force encircled her dantian, full of vitality. Above her head, in the sky, clusters of spiritual clouds gathered, and lightning bolts descended from the spiritual clouds, striking each of Lu Muyan's meridians. The spiritual force continuously tempered her body. Dazzling lights like colored glaze shone down on her through the dense leaves, making the gorgeous, white-clothed young girl appear as if a stunning celestial that had descended, rippling in light and enigmatic, as if behind a layer of mist. And this sight naturally stirred everyone who was resting within the wooden hut. They leapt out of the house, looked in Lu Muyan's direction, and were completely stunned. This is spiritual force body tempering. A student stammered out. Isn't Lu Muyan's talent a bit too strong? She's only advancing, but can actually attract spiritual force body tempering. Isn't it that only the legendary constitution can cause such an anomalous phenomenon of heaven and earth? A member of the Imperial family said in disbelief. She doesn't have a special or rare constitution, But it's said that people with the terminal meridian's constitution are actually extremely talented and heaven-defying. It's just that it's been stopped by their terminal meridians. So after eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, her talents and aptitudes are gradually revealed. This truly is the so-called interdependence of blessings and misfortunes. The Lu Mu Yen, after eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, compared to the trash from before, are like two different people. The students were discussing constantly, and they all sighed with mixed emotions at Lu Mu Yan's good fortune. Yun Song, Lan Si and Yun Ji were also standing outside the hut, looking at the anomalous phenomena occurring at that large tree. Every time a spiritual cloud scattered, there would be even more that floated over. It was as if the white-clothed woman shrouded in a colorful glaze had a dantian that was a bottomless pit, incessantly absorbing the spiritual force of heaven and earth. Its speed was truly breathtaking. Imperial teacher, Lu Mu Yin really doesn't have the heavenly spiritual body? Yunji looked at Yun Song in confusion, asking. He had never seen anyone who could attract the spiritual force body tempering anomalous phenomenon when they were advancing. Such an anomalous phenomenon was only a legendary existence. Yet he didn't expect to see it today occurring on the infamous trash of the empire. Yun Song's gaze was deep, and with a rare smile on his face he sighed. She does indeed not have the heavenly spiritual body, but she has excelling talent that is no less than a heavenly spiritual body. The future of this girl is immeasurable. Then, Yun Song looked at Lan Si with a serious expression and ordered, "No accident can occur to Lu Mu Yen during this trial." Whether it was the master behind Lu Mu Yen, or the excelling cultivation and alchemy talents that she displayed, it all decided that she would be an extraordinary person in the future. The empire could not lose such a talent. "I will protect her secretly," Lan Si nodded. "But all the missions in the trial need to be completed by herself, so I will not take action until a life-or-death moment. That is only of course. If she can't even pass such a trial, then it would be a waste of her good aptitude." A sharp glint flashed in Yun Song's eyes. "I just have a feeling that she can win a trial quota this time." "I hope so." The gaze that Lan Si cast towards Lu Mu Yen revealed a hint of extreme interest. After a few hours, Lu Mu Yan's spiritual energy soared. She opened her tightly shut eyes and formed a few hand seals before her. The few spiritual clouds that remained in the sky were absorbed by her, and the layer of thin film that blocked her advancement in her dantian was broken by the flooding of elemental energy. Wang! A huge amount of spiritual energy poured into her dantian, and the light green mist expanded in size. Only after performing a few cosmic orbits in her body was Lu Mu Yan's advancement complete. Feeling the abundant and deep spiritual energy within her, a confident smile rose on her lips. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Although she was only at a sword spirit cultivation base, but the spiritual energy in her body wasn't inferior to that of an initial phase Sword King Sword Master. Now she had another layer of guarantee for the upcoming trial mission. Then Lu Mu Yen finished and glanced in the direction of the wooden hut with furrowed brows. There countless pairs of eyes were staring at her, transfixed, making her feel very helpless. After eradicating her terminal meridian's constitution, her potential talent was even better than those pampered children with special constitutions. And because of her unique flesh-refining manual, every time she advanced, she would attract the anomalous phenomena of heaven and earth, where spiritual clouds would send lightning to temper her body. She suddenly felt a headache, because the scene of her advancement was too big. She didn't like being watched, and liked to cause trouble even less. But as long as she could refine the foundation establishment pill, and take it, after successfully establishing her foundation, she could create a site where it would conceal and isolate the anomalous phenomena of heaven and earth during advancement from the outside world. She ignored the gazes of those people. Right now, she was bound to be questioned if she walked over. So she continued to sit on the tree and close her eyes to rest. It wasn't until when the time came for the mission to start did Lu Mu Yen jump off the branch and leave with Lu Mu Bai and the rest. After separating from the other trial students, Yunlan took out a beast skin map and carefully checked it. Alan, you actually have a map of the outer ring and inner ring of the glacial mountain range. Xiao Ziong looked at the beast skin map and said in surprise. Yunlan looked at the beast skin map carefully, then explained, "This is from my master." After hearing that it was given by Yunlan's master, Xiao Ziong said excitedly with a smile, "Then are there marked locations for the Tier 5 demonic beasts we need to find?" Yunlan's master was Hatsword, sovereign expert of the empire, that was currently in closed-door cultivation, and also Yinzhou Kingdom's strongest sword master. It was also because of his support that Yinzhou Kingdom wasn't completely reduced to the ranks of a small country. "Yep, there are rough coordinates," Yunlan said to them after confirming a few points on the map. "There's a Tier 5 ice ape to the east of the mountain, and it's also the closest place to us. Let's go there for the mission first." Alright, their little team consisted of Yunlan, Yunjin, Xiao Ziong, Yun Luo, Qi Yixian, and the two siblings of the Lu clan. Their strengths were relatively prominent among the trial teams. With Yunlan's map, the efficiency would be improved a lot, so it wouldn't be difficult for them to complete the missions. It saved time and trouble. 5 days was enough. Elder cousin brother, are there marked locations of spiritual herbs? Lu Muyan asked in a whisper when she walked beside Yunlan. Yunlan nodded. Yes, but not complete. There's only markings for spiritual herbs that are being protected by demonic beasts. Can I take a look? Lu Muyan's eyes lit up like stars. A spiritual herb like the deep orchid would definitely be guarded by a demonic beast. Yunlan smiled, took out the beast skin map from his chest area 1, and handed it to Lu Muyan. Then he pointed to a few places where only one word was written, saying, "These are the places. There's the word orchid too here. Does it represent the deep orchid?" Lu Muyan stared at the place marked on the map with the word orchid as her heart skipped a beat. Yes, the deep orchid can only be found in the glacial mountain range. It's extremely rare and precious. According to my master's notes, the demonic beast guarding it is a peak phase Tier 5 cold mist Jiao 3. It's also the king of the northwest area. Yunlan was very familiar with the things marked on the map. His master had explained it all to him one by one before coming. Lu Muyan pointed to a few other markings and asked at random, but she noted down the deep orchid's direction and location in her heart. One probably an unnecessary explanation, but you know how in ancient China, people wore robe-like clothes? Love them BTW, they're so pretty. Anyways, obviously you wrap one side of the robe over the other side to wear it, so there's a slit there to put things. Often in Chinese dramas, you'd see them take things out from their chest area. Women are often seen taking things out from their sleeves. 2. The actual character is from, which is deep orchid. 3. Okay, based on my many years of reading Chinese novels, the word used here to describe the animal means a being that is more than a snake, but less than a dragon. I did a brief Google and Baidu search, and it came up with amongst some other answers which is translated as a flood dragon. Are thought to be beings that are related to water only. Can eventually evolve to become a true dragon, however. There's no real English translation except dragon, but it's not quite. So I'm leaving it as it is, haha. Chapter 85. How violent Lu Muyan and her party quickly arrived at the Ice Ape's cave marked on the map. Sure enough, they felt 3 Tier 5 demonic beast auras in the depths of the cave. Outside the cave, groups of low-level ice apes were walking back and forth. Yunlan made a gesture to the others with his hands, took out a long sword, then cut through the air. The others also took out their spirit treasures one by one to sweep through the low-level ice apes outside, and in only a short while, they made their way deep into the cave. Roar! Their fight also attracted the attention of the 3 Ice Ape Kings deep in the cave that rushed out, beating their chests. Lu Muyan looked at one of the Ice Ape Kings that was more than 3 meters high, and fighting spirit rose in her eyes. After the spiritual force body tempering and advancing to a sword spirit, her Bodhi's toughness also rose a level, and the flesh refining technique rose a layer too. This initial phase Tier 5 demonic beast was the perfect opponent for to practice against right now. Leave that shortest one to me. Lu Muyan said as she rolled her fists. Xiao Ziong rolled his eyes at her and said, "That's a tier 5 demonic beast. Even if you did advance to sword spirit, you don't need to be so wild and arrogant, right?" Lu Muyan glanced at him lightly. "It's not like I'm an idiot like you." After speaking, she didn't wait for anyone else to say anything, and with a flash, she just raised her fist and charged over. She leapt up and with bare hands, directly greeting the ice ape that charged towards her. Boom boom! The two collided. The ice ape stumbled back a few steps, while Lu Muyan was directly slammed into the wall opposite, shaking down a lot of rubble. However, her face not only didn't have the slightest discoloration, but instead, her fighting spirit grew more and more intense. Her exquisite and gorgeous face was dyed with a layer of faint red. Then with a leap, she once again in midair punched towards the ice ape. The ice ape king had already developed intelligence, so it was completely angered by such provocation from a human that was one stage lower than itself. It beat its chest and roared a few times, then similarly clenched its hands to greet that tender fist. Bang! The two fists met, but neither side was jolted back this time. They continued to fight using the most primitive physical combat method, throwing punches at each other one by one. Is Lu Muyan still a woman? Xiao Ziong watched that petite and delicate woman collide and bombard that tall, thick ice ape, completely stupefied. And yet she wasn't at a disadvantage at all. The traces of wildness, arrogance, and that domineering manner she revealed completely startled him. Yunjin couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. He stood beside Xiao Ziong with folded arms as his eyes revealed some interest. How violent! But I like it. Xiao Ziong held his forehead. Were there still any normal people around? He glanced around. Yun Lan and Yun Luo were practicing against one. Lu Mubai faced another alone. Qi Yixian was cleaning up the few low-level ice apes that they had missed, and Lu Muyen was just currently fighting gleefully. He couldn't help but poke Yunjin's arm and said, "Is it really fine for us to just stand here and watch the fight? What's wrong with that? Those who have the abilities do more work. Just let them fight first." Their hands were itching for a long time. Yunjin raised an eyebrow indifferently. "Even if we want to intervene, there's nowhere to be of use right now, so just watch." Xiao Ziong also realized that Yunjin's words were reasonable, so he shrugged and continued to watch the battle. From time to time, he would even nitpick Lu Muyan's fight, but he couldn't help but feel admiration towards her rise within him. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the fight developed into a completely one-sided battle. Lu Mubai easily beheaded the ice ape king he battled, while Yun Lan and Yun Luo also killed the other ice ape without using their full strength. Seeing that the other people's battles were already over, Lu Muyen didn't delay any more time either. She took 2 steps back, moved her fingers, and one immediately saw thin red threads of elemental energy condensation reveal itself from the ice ape's thin fur, displayed in an octagonal shape. This was the fire elemental energy array that she quietly buried on the ice ape's body every time her body physically clashed with the ice ape's. If she wanted to kill her opponent with her physical strength alone, she still couldn't do it for the time being. Of course, if she could do another spiritual force body tempering, then she could do it. Lu Muyen murmured a few phrases and activated the fire elemental energy in the array. The octagonal-shaped red threads began to move quickly and gradually tightened. A moment later, the red thread firmly bound the limbs of the ice ape, trapping it in place for the time being. At the same time, the eye of the array lit up brightly in red, transforming into streams of light that shot out directly towards the center of the ice ape's eyebrows. The ice ape wailed, then its huge body fell heavily to the ground, without a single breath remaining. The few people that were originally merely standing, watching her fight were now all stunned. When did she arrange this trick? They didn't notice it at all. They only knew the constant bombardment of bodies between her and the ice ape. But they didn't expect that she had long planted a second means to win. Muyen, what was the matter with that trick you just used? Elemental energy condensation is really this powerful? Yunjin watched Lu Muyan's battle from start to finish, but didn't notice that she used elemental energy condensation. The elemental energy condensation of a sword skill was what made the E-clan famous, but it didn't have such potent, silent, and obscure powers. Lu Muyen collected her spoils, and didn't conceal either. This is an array formed by elemental energy condensation. Those thin red threads had long destroyed the meridians in the limbs of that ice ape. When I decide to kill it, it can also play a restraining role. She was most famous in the spirit world not for her alchemy skills, but for her arrays. She had thoroughly researched all types of arrays, and were highly adept in them. If her strength allowed her, she could even personally arrange a few ancient great arrays. Even if a sword sovereign expert entered, she could promise that they wouldn't be able to exit. Although at the cultivation base of a great sword master, she could condense the elemental energy within their body, but it wasn't that powerful. However, after entering the sword spirit stage, she could use many different skills. An elemental energy array could also be quietly assembled, making one hard to defend against it. It made fights a lot easier, except she was currently cultivating the cultivation skills of the immortal cultivation world. So advancing in the levels of a sword master just couldn't allow her to use certain talents. Only when she established her foundation, formed a core, formed a nascent soul and so forth, like in her previous life, could she exhibit her strengths. Aren't arrays only able to be arranged with array flags and array tools? Yin Luo asked in surprised. Most arrays do require array flags and array tools, but they can also be constructed with elemental energy. But not everyone can use elemental energy to build an array. Lu Muyen stretched out her hand, and a red, octagonal elemental energy array was easily constructed by her. She continued, building an array with elemental energy not only requires one to do 3 things at once, but also requires the talent to enter a free and empty state at any time, and make a sketch of the array in their heart. The heart array was a secret manual that had long been lost in the ancient times. She only knew it because she accidentally discovered it in an ancient cultivator's cave. In the immortal cultivation world, there wouldn't be more than 10 people that could use spiritual energy to build an array. In a place like Tianling continent where everything was lacking, it was probably even more impossible to find a second person who could use the heart array. After listening to Lu Muyan's explanation, Yun Luo and the rest were all speechless. In the end, wasn't it that it required talent to be able to do it? They sure didn't have the ability to achieve a free and empty state of mind at any time, nor do 3 things at once. Lu Muyen was just specifically attacking them now. It only took a few months for her to advance from an advanced phase sword novice to a sword spirit. This sort of speed really made them, who were the so-called geniuses, yet used more than a decade, feel ashamed. She also only used the cultivation base of a sword spirit to defeat a tier 5 ice ape that was equivalent to an initial phase sword king strength, and not only used elemental energy condensation, but could also use elemental energy to build an array to kill her opponent. These methods had never been heard of before. She slowly revealed to them the edges of her talents, but every time they thought that her strength and the means she displayed had already exceeded their imagination, she could attack them again with reality. After hunting the tier 5 ice apes, the group followed the closest path on the marked map, and swept up, and beheaded the tier 5 demonic beasts required for the mission. 3 days later, on a glacial plain, green trees were dotted among the vast expanse of white, and a group of cold vultures flew on the clearing around the trees. When Yun Ziemo and 2 other teams of students rushed to the ice field, wanting to kill the tier 5 cold vultures that they received information of, they saw a large group of cold vultures currently fighting a few people. Among the few people led by Lu Mubai, 2 of them cleaned the low-level cold vulture on the periphery, while 4 of them faced 4 tier 5 cold vulture kings among the cold vultures. And the white-clothed woman currently in battle with a tier 5 cold vulture king unexpectedly stunned them. She was agile and fast, sped swiftly beneath the wings of the demonic beast, blasted and slammed with her fists covered in elemental energy, used her body to fight head-to-head with the tier 5 cold vulture king. And yet she wasn't at all at a disadvantage. Sword masters were more adept in long-range combats, because their Bodhist toughness couldn't be compared to a demonic beast's, so they were weak in close-quarters combat. But Lu Muyen personally let them realize that the body of a human sword master could also be as strong and tough as a demonic beast. That's Lu Muyen? Ji Han Su, who stood beside Yun Zmo, didn't conceal the shock in his eyes. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, had absolutely never believed that Lu Muyen's body was so tough. Yun Zmo's cold eyes deepened. She should have practiced a flesh-refining skill. But to be able to combat a Tier 5 demonic beast with the cultivation base of a sword spirit master, and still appear to be winning, she indeed has her own strengths. The body of a human sword master, compared to a demonic beast, was extremely fragile. A sword master once developed a flesh-refining skill to make up for this shortcoming. But unfortunately, these sorts of skills were not only rare to find, but it also wasn't suitable for everyone to cultivate. He guessed that Lu Muyen probably obtained a flesh-refining manual and trained in it successfully. Otherwise it'd be impossible to have the ability and physical quality to fight against demonic beasts directly. Could it be the effect of the marrow cleansing pill? A fiery light flashed across Ji Han's eyes. Yun Zmo pondered for a bit before disagreeing. Even the most heaven-defying pill couldn't cleanse the marrow wandrifine the body. The strength she displayed doesn't seem to be improved because she took a pill. But it's undeniable that the marrow cleansing pill indeed turned the famous waste of the Imperial capital into a genius who's not at all inferior to you now. Ji Han Su held a firm belief in the efficacy of the marrow cleansing pill. Recently, the Ji clan was also secretly negotiating with the Lu clan, only hoping to successfully obtain the marrow cleansing pill. Yun Zmo's eyes displayed a look of disagreement, but he didn't say more. Presumably, there were a lot of people that thought of Lu Muyen in that way, but he guessed that it was actually because this woman hid her talents well. He firmly believed that it was simply impossible for a person to change so drastically due to the effects of a pill alone. After eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, two of the most important factors that Lu Muyen relied on to achieve what she did definitely must be her own extraordinary talents and own efforts. The jealousy in Yun Ge's eyes were inadvertently revealed, and was quickly caught by Qi Lixiang, who stood not far away. She lowered her eyes to cover up the changing emotions in her eyes and thought. This time, she'd definitely not allow Lu Muyen to return, and would help the Gu clan get rid of this huge nuisance and trouble. The fight remained one-sided. After Lu Muyen sweat to her heart's content, and her body and mind were refreshed, she arranged an elemental energy killing array to trap the Cold Vulture King. The Cold Vulture King was unwilling to reveal weakness. It was trapped, but it gathered all its demonic energy on its sharp beak, raised its head, then lowered it, pecking towards the weakest part of Lu Muyen's head. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyen's eyes grew cold. A layer of glaze-like jade color enveloped her hand. She quickly backed away a few steps, then leapt forward, and her right fist that carried boundless elemental energy was directly inserted into the area where the crystal core resided, wrenching it right out. Gah! The Cold Vulture King's eyes bulged, and its breath stopped abruptly in its last call. After putting away the Cold Vulture King's corpse, Lu Muyen walked to Yun Lan and the other side, and said with a smile, "Mission complete. Lu Muyen, you little monster. You completed your first trial mission in only 3 days." Xiao Ziong pursed his lips and said, unreconciled. Except there was a smile of admiration in his eyes. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow, stretched out her hand and patted his shoulder. Then her eyes curved into a crescent shape as she smiled. "Brother, I've got to remind you that you've still got 7 demonic beasts left to complete the mission, but there's only 2 days left." The corner of Xiao Ziong's mouth twitched. This was precisely a caustic friend that was here just to take a jab at his heart. The others couldn't help but smile. Then, seeing the people on the opposite side walk towards them, Yun Lan's eyes deepened, and he greeted Yun Zmo. "Young royal uncle." Yun Zmo's cold eyes didn't reveal much emotion. He nodded and asked, "Have you all completed your missions?" "We're almost done." Yinlan turned the conversation on its head and asked with a smile. I suppose that young royal uncle must have completed your trial missions, right? Not yet. There's still 3 more left until completion. Yin Zmo answered indifferently. I say Yinlan, aren't you all a bit unkind? Jihan Su stepped forward and with a smile as if joking said. You guys always intercept and kill the tier 5 demonic beasts. You should at least leave some soup for us brothers when you're eating the meat. Xiao Ziong still remembered how Jihan Su acted against Lu Mu Bai for Yin Go earlier. So he said, well, who told you guys to always be slower than us? Even I haven't had any soup, so don't you guys count on having any either. Oh, isn't this alchemist Xiao? You still need to drink soup? With your identity as an alchemist, you can just beckon and call. And wouldn't there be a lot of sword masters who will come and hack through brambles and thorns and sweep a bunch of tier 5 demonic beasts for you? A young man beside Jihan Su who wore fine and splendid robes sneered, with ridicule in his voice. Xiao Ziong choked. He did indeed have some power to rally helpers back in the Imperial capital because of his identity as an alchemist, but during the trial in the glacial mountain range, everyone was a child favored by the heavens. So who would help him sweep up tier 5 demonic beasts for a few pills? The anger in his heart rose steadily. The young man across from him who spoke was also his enemy in the Imperial capital, so to be ridiculed like this, he truly couldn't swallow the anger. Just when he was about to resolve this using force, his arm was pulled by Lu Mu Yen. Alchemist Xiao, this miss is willing to hack through brambles and thorns to sweep up a bunch of tier 5 demonic beasts for you. Lu Mu Yan's eyes curved as they carried a brightness and continued. Let alone drinking soup. Let's not even leave a single demonic beast fur for these eyesores. All right. Xiao Ziong felt the warmth from his arms, and his heart also warmed up. Lu Mu Yan truly was loyal. Lu Mu Yan, who are you saying is an eyesore? That young man who had ridiculed Xiao Ziong glared at her furiously. Lu Mu Yan retracted her hand on Xiao Ziong's arm, picked up a strand of hair on her shoulder to play with, then raised her eyes carelessly saying, of course it's whoever answers is the eyesore. This person was Gu Yanran's admirer. He hadn't ridiculed and bullied her any less when they met before. And now he was mocking Xiao Ziong. Lu Mu Yan's lips curled up into a cold arc. Want to complete the mission to kill tier 5 demonic beasts? Humph, with her here this person could dream on. Chapter 87. Prepared to prank. Hearing Lu Mu Yan's arrogant words, the people around the young boy frowned unconsciously. Lu Mu Yan, don't think that you're amazing just because you're able to kill a tier 5 demonic beast. And you even want to not leave a single demonic beast fur for us. If you really have that ability, then show it to us. Why only talk about it? Yun Ge looked unhappy then mocked. Let's take a bet to see just who will lose. Lu Mu Yan's aunt in the Imperial Palace, as the Empress, already suppressed her concubine mother, who expected that now the Lu clan's little trash's strength also suppressed her. With new grudges and old grudges, it made Yun Ge feel exceptional disgust towards Lu Mu Yan. Lu Mu Yan chuckled and raised an eyebrow. That's what you said. Was this stupid woman really an elite raised by the Imperial family? She not only wasn't astute nor subtle, but also got angry immediately when provoked. Lu Mu Yan couldn't help but cast a sympathetic glance at Jihan Su. With such a pig teammate one as his betrothed, Jihan's entire life would definitely never be boring. In fact, she didn't know that Yun Ge's concubine mother was given the cold shoulder by Yin Tian Chun because she once acted arrogantly towards the Empress and didn't give her any face, relying on the fact that she was highly favored by the Emperor. As Yun Ge's talent was pretty good, she was sent to cultivate in the Imperial family's secret grounds. Plus, she was the princess of the Imperial family. So many people were willing to sell her some favors, and from a young age, she was also very distant from the complexities of the Imperial palace, and hadn't interacted with a lot of secrets. That's why it raised her to be such a simplistic, stupid and self-centered person. Jihan Su naturally caught Lu Mu Yan's blatant sympathetic gaze, and he couldn't help but hold his forehead. He was actually being sympathized and gloated by the once most famous trash of the Imperial capital. But looking at his betrothed's disdainful, nasty face, He couldn't help but want to wipe some tears of sympathy for himself as well. He couldn't help but assist Yun Ge last time because of their relationship, but now she was acting stupid again. He really didn't have the heart to care about it anymore. After returning, he must properly mention it to the superiors of the clan. It was best to annul this engagement. Lu Muyen, who can't talk big. Then well, wait and see how you keep us from not even being able to touch demonic beast fur. The young man sneered and said with extreme disdain. Lu Muyen gave the two a like in her heart too. They sure knew exactly what to do. After completing the mission, the 2 days left would be filled with idleness and boredom. Since it didn't really occur often that an opportunity to prank would arrive at the door by itself, she'd play with them a bit then. All right. You two just prepare to pack your bags and return to the Imperial capital after 2 days then. Lu Muyen smiled devilishly, and the arrogance in her eyes was undisguised. Humph, what big talk. Just wait and see. Yun Ge also couldn't help but snort, turned around and dragged Jihan Su with the rest, leaving the ice field. She wanted to find Tier 5 demonic beasts before Lu Muyen and the others, and let that woman lose face entirely. The people from the other small team glanced at each other and followed. They were all sword spirit strengths, so if they wanted to successfully complete the task, they had to rely on Jihan Su. Yun Zimo's obsidian-like eyes were encircled with a layer of unidentifiable light. He took a deep look at Lu Muyen, addressed Yun Lan, then turned to leave. However, his route was the opposite of Yun Ge's group. He had a feeling that if he followed Yun Ge, his mission would be difficult to complete. After all the people who had intruded left, worry rose in Xiao Ziong's eyes. Lu Muyen, even if you want to help me retaliate against them, you didn't need to boast so wildly, right? If you let them kill a Tier 5 demonic beast, then we'd both lose our faces terribly. Although he said this, he didn't have any intent on blaming her. On the contrary, there was an unprecedented excitement in his heart, as if he was going to do something amazingly terribly bad with Lu Muyen. He didn't know why, but when it came to Lu Muyen's words, he actually felt a sense of unquestioning belief. He really was spending a bit too much time with this violent woman. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyen looked at him askance as if he were an idiot. You're the only one that'll lose face. It's got nothing to do with me. After a pause she added, let's go quickly. Don't always think about playing dirty tricks. You still have to kill 7 Tier 5 demonic beasts to complete the mission. Xiao Ziong's forehead was full of creases. Was it impossible to speak nicely now? It was obvious that she wanted to play dirty tricks to prank people. So what did it have to do with him? Not to mention, could she not always mention the 7 demonic beast situation and poke his sore spots? You guys that have finished the mission, will you be going back first, or follow us to prank people? A naughty smile rose on Lu Muyen's lips. Lu Muyen made it no secret that she was not a virtuous maiden, and she definitely wasn't a good person. But such a straightforward temperament just so happened to be something the others appreciated. Since Muyen is so confident, we naturally have to go and join in on the fun. Yun Lan revealed a light smile, and he couldn't help but feel that his heart was dyed with a layer of joy as he looked at the woman in front of him with her bright eyes, lively and adorable. Yun Jin loved to watch the excitement, so he blinked at Lu Muyen playfully and said with a smile, they can't touch demonic beast fur. But me, Ziong and Yixian's mission demonic beasts should be fine, right? He and Xiao Ziong's strength was at the bottom of the group, so they still had to kill 4 Tier 5 demonic beasts to complete the mission. Qi Yixian still had 2 more, while the others had all completed their missions. Naturally, at the same time as making trouble, it's also for you guys to quickly complete your missions. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at Yun Jin. He could even ask such a stupid question. Sure enough, after spending a long time with Xiao Ziong, his IQ was also dragged down. Lu Muyen, you're sure loyal. When we return to the Imperial capital, your brother, I will look after you. Xiao Ziong wanted to reach out to hang his arm around Lu Muyen's shoulder to express that they were good brothers, but was deliberately blocked by Qi Yixian. Let's go too and find the Tier 5 demonic beasts before them. Qi Yixian said deeply. He felt very uncomfortable right now. He was delightedly surprised that Lu Muyen once again shocked and amazed him, and kept attracting his gaze, making his heart beat uncontrollably. But at the same time, he also hoped to hide her deeply, so that she couldn't be coveted by other men. The Tier 5 demonic beasts marked on Yunlan's map had basically been cleaned up by them, and the few that were left were rather far away. Xiao Ziong couldn't help but ask again while walking, "How do we find Tier 5 demonic beasts without a map? Follow Yungu and the others?" Then he immediately knocked his head and laughed, saying, "That's right. We can follow them. The moment we encounter a Tier 5 demonic beast, we can just rush over and kill it first." "Do you think Jihan's Sword King cultivation base is just an accessory?" Lu Muyen looked at Xiao Ziong wordlessly. "Besides, what we want to do is play tricks on them. So naturally they need to personally watch how we don't leave a single fur for them. Do you think it's possible to do that, if we try to snatch and kill the demonic beast after following them? Then what should we do? You must have some idea, right?" Xiao Ziong saw the brilliance in Lu Muyen's eyes, and knew immediately that this woman was plotting again. Luckily he wasn't her enemy, otherwise he really would be played to death. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow and smiled in a dominating manner. "That's only natural. Not only do I want them to be eliminated in the first mission, but I also want them to personally witness how we put all the mission items into our own pockets." Seeing her confident, gorgeous smile, all of them unanimously lit a candle 3 in their hearts for those who offended Lu Muyen. One common colloquial saying meaning they teammates not only useless, but causes trouble for others. 2 more colloquial sayings. This time is basically like how we say we liked a Facebook post or other social media posts. Pretty modern word, but it's a web novel. 3 lighting candles is usually done for the dead, or to pray and or bless someone. But in this case lighting candles is used to pray for them, hoping they don't die too badly, since Lu Muyen really is going to prank them hard. They're pitying them for what they'll go through, haha. Chapter 88. Lu Muyen playing dirty tricks. As they hurried along their journey, Lu Muyen released Mo Yen, who was cultivating in the spirit pet bangle. "For that boring bet, you actually bother me when I'm cultivating?" Mo Yan's indifferent eyes displayed a bit of displeasure, although he didn't like to stay in the spirit pet bangle. But he could only endure it in order to not waste a single moment cultivating. Yet who knew that this woman would bother him for such trivial matters? Lu Muyen held Mo Yin in her arms and poked him on the back, telepathically saying, "Do you still want that pill refined from a Tier 5 crystal core? If you don't work hard, you want to take it for nothing?" Then she said, twaddled on, "Don't you know this is also because I want to help you collect more crystal cores to refine into pills? Since you don't cherish it, then go back to your spirit pet bangle and continue to cultivate." Mo Yin took a deep breath. This woman really was good. There's a Tier 5 snow leopard 500 meters ahead of that group of people. Lu Muyan's eyes were full of smiles, and she continued poking at the soft and warm little beast in her arms. Now that's right, being tactful is the solid principle. Mo Yin didn't bother to talk to her anymore. After pointing the way, he just let Lu Muyen hold him as he closed his eyes to rest. With Mo Yan's precise instructions, Lu Muyen took Yunlan and the others around to a small path, and circled in front of Yunge and the others. Sure enough, after 500 meters, on a low mound, they found traces of a Tier 5 snow leopard. "What are you 3 waiting for? First come first serve, don't you want to complete your mission?" Lu Muyen leaned on a big tree, pointed to the snow leopard not far away, and looked at the 3 that hadn't completed their missions indolently. She had hunted and killed 10 initial phase Tier 5 demonic beasts already, and also gradually found that feeling of doing something to her heart's content. So it wasn't that she didn't want to help the 3 of them kill the demonic beasts, but she hoped that they would grow up on their own. The trial mission of slaying Tier 5 demonic beasts a level above them wasn't just a test for those who participated in the trial, but it was also to hone their combat skills and survivability. The 3 of them were dazed for a moment when they heard Lu Muyan's words. Then 2 figures quickly dashed out and went straight for the snow leopard. Xiao Ziong, who was a half-beat behind, cursed, then also charged over quickly. The three men besieged and scrambled for that one snow leopard. In the end, it was Yun Jin who played a trick that caused the other two to be half-step slower when they were about to kill the snow leopard, and successfully scooped out the snow leopard's crystal core. He held it in his hands and waved it at Lu Muyen and the rest, a face of smugness. And it was at this moment that Yunge and her team also found this low mound. But when they saw the snow leopard's crystal core in Yunjin's hands, their complexion wasn't very good. Lu Muyen, didn't you say Thaddeus wouldn't let us even touch the fur of a tier 5 demonic beast? Why is the person who killed the demonic beast my royal elder brother? Weren't you quite capable before? Yunge saw that the person who slayed the snow leopard wasn't Lu Muyen, so her heart relaxed, and she couldn't help but ridicule. Lu Muyen sneered. Did I ever say that I'll do it myself? Why should I bother exerting my mental effort when someone could exert themselves instead? I'm not as stupid as you. You, Yunge trembled with anger. Lu Muyen, that bitch, actually dared say she was stupid. It was truly unforgivable. Except, she only got to say one word, and was stopped by Ji Han Su behind her, whose brows were furrowed. Lu Muyen did only say that she wouldn't even allow them to touch a demonic beast, but she didn't say that she would do it herself. What's the use of arguing about these things now? He became more and more angry with Yunge within. Enough. Now isn't the time to argue. Let's hurry up and find the next tier 5 demonic beast. No one in the two teams had completed their first trial mission yet. If they followed this trend, they could really be eliminated. Ji Han Su intensely regretted why he would team up with Yunge. The worries in Ji Han Su's heart, Yunge naturally thought of too. She sure didn't want to be eliminated in the first round of the trial mission. So she could only glare at Lu Muyen unwillingly and say ruthlessly, Lu Muyen, just you wait. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I await your esteemed self one anytime. Lu Muyen chuckled nonchalantly. A character like Yunge couldn't even compare to Gu Yanran. She really didn't pay attention to her. And she didn't have time to play with her even more. If she wanted to cause trouble, then she'll just accompany her whenever necessary. The young man also glared at Lu Muyen. Trash, just you want and see. Hearing the word trash, Lu Muyen's pretty eyes narrowed. In the following 2 days, a similar scenario was acted out in the boundary of the outer ring and inner ring in the glacial mountain range time and again. Just when the trial students of the two teams found a trail of their target tier 5 demonic beast, Lu Muyen and her group would always be ahead of them one step, not more nor less, and every time the groups arrived, the demonic beast would always just happen to be slayed. Indeed, not a single fur was left for them. Lu Muyen, have you played enough games? Ji Han Su changed from his usual cheerful laughter to an expression that carried slight grimness as he looked at the dead demonic beasts on the ground. Lu Muyen wrapped her fingers around a strand of shiny black hair, raised an eyebrow and said, Didn't your people let me do this? Of course it's not enough. Lu Muyen, those two offended you, but we haven't. Isn't it too much of you to keep robbing our target demonic beasts? The leader of the other group of students from the Empire Academy couldn't help but step forward and say. Lu Muyen tilted her head to look at Xiao Ziong and asked, Did I kill that demonic beast? No, Yunjin killed it. Xiao Ziong shook his head cooperatively. Lu Muyen shrugged to the group of people not far away and said, Did you hear that? The one who snatched your target demonic beast was Yunjin. So what's it got to do with me? Both teams were all rather angered by that careless, unscrupulous tone. It was true that she wasn't the one who killed the demonic beasts, but making the connection with the powdered drugs from before that could make demonic beasts unable to move temporarily, prepared by Lu Muyen, they all concluded that it was definitely Lu Muyen's masterpiece for them to always, coincidentally, be that one step ahead in finding a tier 5 demonic beast. Yunjin's eyelids couldn't help but twitch, and he didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Just who was the one who ordered him to go fight before? Lu Muyen, do you really want everyone in our two teams to be eliminated? Ji Han Su suppressed the anger in his chest and calmly asked as he looked at Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen swept across Jihan Su with a look as if saying he was stupid, then said slowly, I've got no grievances against you guys. Why do I want to eliminate everyone in your two teams? I'm betting with them, not you guys. Isn't it fine if you just don't follow them? After hearing her say that, the rest also had a revelation, and they secretly blamed Yun Ge and the young boy. The two thought they were so amazing, and wanted to gamble with Lu Muyen before. But now they were all being held back because of the two. Lu Muyen caught the looks on the people opposite, then reminded them kindly with a smile. There's only 1 day remaining in the trial. You all better hurry up. Neither of the two teams could do anything to her, and they couldn't delay any more time even more. In order to complete the trial mission, they all regrouped, then quickly went to other places to look for Tier 5 demonic beasts. Jihan Su also left Yun Ge, who was pestering him, quickly leaving with the other 2 members of the Imperial family. They didn't have a lot remaining to complete the mission, so there was still hope to complete it in a day. According to Mo Yan's prompt, there weren't many Tier 5 demonic beasts within the few thousand li nearby, and those that were left were all at advanced phase or peak phase Tier 5 strength. These people would still have a fierce battle left to fight. With Yun Ge and the young man's strength, the possibility of hunting down Tier 5 demonic beasts individually was practically zero. Lu Muyen also lost the interest to continue playing with Yun Ge and the boy. Xiao Ziong and the other 2 had also completed their missions, so there was no need for them to continue into the inner ring's border anymore. The best translation I could give for the words, Dejia, as of now. It literally translates to large carriage, and figuratively, is used to refer to someone powerful in status, or simply to be polite by referring to them as, and is often used as, meaning we are honored by your presence. It can also be used figuratively to refer to the emperor, amongst many other words. In this case, Lu Muyan saying great self sarcastically, Note, I've been changing some terminology recently. Nothing big, but I did change Imperial Academy to Empire Academy recently. I can't remember if I changed anything else, and I don't remember if I mentioned everything I changed. But these terminology changes are on purpose, haha. To make it consistent, I also go back to the previous chapters and change it all, unless I missed some accidentally, so it's possible some terminology might be different to what you remember. It's not the author changing it, it's me changing the translation to better suit the Chinese terms. I'm bored like that, and maybe it's the tiny perfectionist in me, hahaha. If it is the author changing something or there's typos, if it's major, I might note it. If it's not that major, I might just translate it and not feel like making a note. I made a bunch of edits already, and I don't think I mentioned every single one, so yeah. Sorry if there's confusion though, that you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.